check this out, y'all. I got not but one, but two pods ready to fill up with Cooter's Stanky Super Soil just for you.
Are your plants looking sadder than a possum at a vegan potluck? Sounds like you need Cooter's Stanky Super Soil. The only compost blend legally classified as both a soil amendment and a threat to olfactory nerves everywhere.
I love the stank of this soil. Let me tell you what.
At Cooter's, we don't make soil, we are the soil. Every bag is handcrafted by Cooter himself, barefoot, blindfolded, and emotionally compromised. We blend worm castings, bat guano, bone meal, and at least one secret ingredient Cooter refuses to explain to me. Though we will tell you it smells like regret and a sense of defeat. Whether you're growing tomatoes, tulips, or top shelf terps, Cooter's Stanky Super Soil will have your roots reaching out like conspiracy theorists at a town hall meeting.
Please act now.
Cooter's Stanky Super Soil is scientifically formulated to offend your neighbors, scare off pests, and attract raccoons looking for commitment and long walks on the beach.
Don't take our word for it. Linda Carlisle from Detroit, Michigan says, my Cooter's so stanky, I can't get this batter to leave my house. Ma'am, that's not a problem with me. I love the stank.
So don't wait. Get yourself a stack of Cooter's Stanky Super Soil today. It's not just dirt, it's an all-around offensive experience.
Use code word CooterStank at checkout for a free trial of bag of Cooter's Swamp Ass. A new blend made up of bog foliage and donkey sweat. My favorite. Cooter's Stanky Super Soil. If it don't stink, it ain't dank.
Hey everybody. We got a new sponsorship from Cooter's Stanky Super Soil. Just a random DM we got, but the guy's such a character we couldn't not
pass
do
it up.
business with
Could
him.
not pass it up. I mean, it seems like he knows what he's doing. I mean, I don't know, man.
I think he's a fine looking individual myself.
Handsome.
Yeah.
Handsome.
Another ginger added to the fold.
I feel like everyone looks better in sunglasses though, because it just leaves all this mystery.
That's true.
Thank you for joining us, guys. We've got a great guest with us, Ruderalister from Crafting Cannabis. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Hell yeah. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I appreciate you. I know this is always, every time we talk to a guest and we're like, hey, you want to record with us? They're like, yeah, sure. When? And we're like, well, ass crack at dawn, Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Thanks we appreciate you fucking up your weekend for us. So we appreciate it, man.
It's cool. I'm up early. I usually just wake up automatically around 6. It's just, that's what my 40s are like. So,
okay. Yeah. I can dig it. Yeah. As soon as we have birds downstairs and it never fails. As soon as the sun comes up and you can hear the birds outside, it's like 6 o'clock. Our fucking birds are starting. Quack, quack, quack. That's it. There is no sleeping after that. So,
yeah, I live next to a grocery store, and the other day they were grading the road over the winter. A bunch of dirt builds up on the side of the road, so they had a front end loader, and it was like 6:45 in the morning. You hear it hit the ground, wham! Go, 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 go. You know, like
wake the fuck up.
Yeah,
it's time, motherfuckers.
Yep.
Damn. Yeah. And how did y'all, I know, at least out in my neck of the woods, we had some decent weather for a little bit, but these past few days, man, got fucking cold.
Yep.
Like what the fuck?
It's weird. Systems are all fucked up. They're all moving around. Same thing. We had like 70s and 80s for like 4 or 5 days, and then it just dropped. It's been in the 40s for the last week.
Yeah. My poor plants outside, man. I started my veggie garden way too early, like far longer than I probably should have started, and then this shit happened. So my my veggie garden is not happy at all.
I heard an interesting story from an old timer a couple of days ago around here. Said 1 years ago, I forget when, but like 20 years ago, there was a early warmth and the apple trees all budded. And then there was a cold snap and it killed the buds, and there were no apples that year.
Oh, no kidding.
Is that interesting? Yeah. So I wonder how often that happens.
Yeah.
What are we smoking on, fellas?
I got some CXX from Brothers Grimm. It's I'd have to look at the pack. It's like it's a pheno. It's either a pheno of Cindy or it's an in cross of Cindy with another pheno. I forget. Somebody else will know. But CXX, yeah.
And you grew it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It was an outdoor from last year. Came out nice. Mm-hmm.
Nice. I am smoking on some 91 grapefruit right now. That has been my go-to since I harvested a while ago. I just got so much of it, and I'm really finding like a citrus and stuff like that is always like I've always really enjoyed it. I like the fruit terps, but I'm finding more and more that I have different cultivars that have this terp profile in it, that the chem profiles are really something that I really like. I really, really dig these chemi profiles in any kind of way. So that is what I'm smoking on.
Oh yeah, I'm smoking on some orange gasm from Irie Genetics that Rudy grew that I got from him at Keefe this recently.
Hell yeah.
It is delicious.
What do you think? You find it to be potent?
Yeah, it's very potent. 2 thumbs up of approval, 100%.
Awesome.
Now, what kind of effects are you getting off of it? When you say potent in what kind of way? Like, are you going to sleep, or are you getting some energy from it?
I can definitely feel it behind the eyes. It does give me some energy, so I do love that.
Yeah,
definitely need it this early in the morning.
Orange gas is usually like a sativa hybrid, roughly put, but that batch I found for me too, it's a little more on just like kind of the straight stony side. Sometimes I'll smoke that and I'll be like, shit, a bit much.
I haven't smoked too much of it yet, so I'm not there yet. I'm sure if I did, I probably would as well. All right, what about you, nerd? What are you smoking on?
Queen's Manor.
Hell yeah, cool.
This is my most recent harvest.
nice.
I got a decent amount of it, so I like put most of it aside, and then I took out like a little bag for myself.
Are you getting do you get rubber chemi terps off of that at all?
Yeah. It's definitely in that range.
Okay. I got some from shout out Cultivation Carnival on IG, guy that I was DMing with last year a little bit. He sent me some seeds, and in there was a Queen's Manor cross chem candy. And I flowered one of those, and it was all of that chem. It was all rubber balls, erasers, that kind of profile. Yeah, really nice.
Okay.
That's becoming my favorite too.
Hell yeah.
Rubber balls.
Rubber balls.
Rubber ball profile.
Yeah. Or like
it's interesting.
Like a fresh tennis ball or like an eraser, or also for me it tracks with perm chemical. You ever know a lady that got a perm and that smell?
Okay.
Yeah.
I see like 30 years from now, we're like, all right, so it has that terp profile of those things you put under the legs of the sofa so you can slide them around. Mixed with the way the paper smells on that old McDonald's straw in the back of your junk drawer.
Yeah. It's a weird thing for me. So I was curious what you guys think about this. I think, of course, we don't get to talk to everybody. I think some people call that sour. This profile we're talking about, they call it sour. Am I tracking with that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are definitely a lot of those, a lot of intertwine, right? I think that if you're getting stuff, it has that profile in it too as well. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Interesting.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, actually, speaking, you guys just recorded not too long ago, and there was one thing that I wanted to bring up. You guys brought up the blueberry OJ from Joint. That is one of the first photos that I'm doing. So I have 2 photos that I started, and one of them is the sun god, and one of them is blueberry OJ. And I've got one that's just raging outside right now. So I'm super stoked. And when I heard you guys talk, I've heard so many good things about Joint's, all of Joint's stuff, and then hearing you guys talk about it, I'm so fucking psyched now, because you guys are like, this is the strongest shit that you've had in a while, and I'm like, I've got a whole fucking plant of it. Let's fucking go.
Hell yeah, dude! It truly was. I would, don't plan to do anything social. Like it's a watch a movie and probably pass out, kind of like, and freak out along the way a little bit, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know Howling, that's one that he always praises about. And he said it's a really good one. So I am stoked to get into that.
Mm.
No, I need to get me some of them seeds, man.
Yeah, I want to grow it too. I mean, having smoked it, yeah, it was a creeper too. It was like 10, 15 minutes later. Yeah, that moment, like, oh,
Yeah,
oh, what the hell, you know?
Hell yeah, yeah.
My friend gave me some.
That's right.
The it was really strong, but the main thing I noticed about it was how long the smell of it stuck to me. But it didn't smell like weed. It smelled like gummy candy. Like, like if I filled all my pockets with like gummy worms and was just walking around, like that's how I felt like my body smelled for like hours after smoking it. It was just like, it smelled like candy for hours. It was so weird.
That's funny.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I haven't gotten into the photo world yet, but that's a lot of what I hear. People are saying that the photos tend to have a little bit stronger terps than you're getting from some auto flowers. So I'm definitely excited to get into that.
Overall, I think they do. Overall, yeah. I don't think it's a 1-to-1, but mostly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And like a little bit more, although autos are catching up on this too, but I think photos generally you're going to find well-grown living soil, organic, all that you get that 2 to 3 hour buzz from a joint. That's a little bit harder to find in autos, in my opinion, but it's out there. Yeah.
Now, what do you think that, I mean, so I try to rationalize why is that, right? Photos, I guess, in the way that I think of it is photos have been, photo periods for generations and generations, right? They've been working on them. And auto flowers really have only been getting work done to them, proper work for what, how long now? 20, 30 years, maybe.
Sure.
So it's going to take some time until they get places, but there's a lot of great breeders. And I think we have great breeders within our community that are doing awesome work with auto flowers.
100%. And then there's not many people who are able to do what you have to do, like what Daz does. Like ideally somebody could do what Daz is doing at a scale of like thousands of plants. Like maybe if you had a group of people where you could literally, let's say 500 to be reasonable, you could seed 500 auto flowers and then actually organize those and smoke test all the seeded bud with a group of people. That would kind of be the ideal way of, because otherwise you got to have all the seed,
True. Sounds like a good project to get into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can dig it. Yeah. And speaking of that, actually that was, from really, really early on when I started listening to Cultivation Conversation, they were always big on joints gear. And it was when he was dropping his blueberry box set. And I had the idea, I was like, well, maybe someday I'll chuck some pollen or do something. But I always had in the back of my mind when I bought this blueberry set, I was like, I want to take one of those blueberry lines, even though I've never grown them, but I've just heard so many people speak highly of them. It's like, I want to take one of his blueberry lines into an auto form. So I'm going to start working on that. I don't know how soon, but I've got to run some, I think probably this fall, I'm going to run some of his stuff to kind of make a selection and see what I want to do. If I find something, we'll start fucking around.
Have you started a photo to auto at all before?
No, I've crossed photo, or autos to autos, but I have not done that yet. So yeah.
Right on. I'm halfway through. I'm on F3 of one, but it's not going well, so I might start over. Yeah.
Oh. Well, share some of your experience with doing that, because I know that's when it comes to breeding. I mean, crossing photos to photos or autos to autos, that's one story, but being able to take and do that work from photo to auto, that takes a lot of time.
It's been a lot of time. It's been, I think, 3 years since I started it. So it's like when it can be done kind of thing for me. Yeah, not a focused effort, but yeah. So I hit a photo female that was in flower with some autoflower pollen. It was Sour Gospel from Chad from the Autoflower podcast. I had some pollen that I had collected from one of those, and hit that to Colombian Mojito. made an F1, grew that. And then I grew, I think like 12 of those in a small tent. And I just took the best male and the best female to carry that forward to get to an F2. And then, I had actually sent some of those seeds. I was trying to find auto trade in that. I grew 2 runs of that F2, and I couldn't find any auto traits. And I was getting a couple of herms and things like that. And then Outcast, if he doesn't mind me shouting him out, he jumped in and asked, like said, mail me some of those. I got room, I'll pop them. So he popped them. He actually found 2 autos and then sent me those seeds back of 2 separate phenos that got seeded for the F3.
Oh, nice.
Which was like huge. Like he took space in his tent. He dealt with pollen. I mean, who's going to fucking do that? You know?
Yeah.
So that was huge. So I still have all that seed and I've been hunting through it, but I hate to say so far they're all stunted. They're all very small. So it's just kind of, you know, and now I'm wondering like, do I hold it? Do I start over? So that's where I'm at, but it can take up to, Green Guy told me once you can take up to F4, 5 to get a stable auto, depending on the genetics that you're working with. Yeah. So you're looking at like, I'd say 3 years if you focus on it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, it was a long shot dream, kind of just throwing it like, oh, I just want to do it. And,
yeah.
It's going to be fun to fuck around with though, man. To have your own that you worked, you know, that's just something special, you know, of course, crossing auto to auto, that's always fun. And you know, you have your own stuff to work with, but actually something new into the autoflower gene pool is something special.
Like Alabria has been doing.
Yeah.
I would say just like my advice based on my own experience would be to focus on a selection for the F1s. Don't just pick a male and a female, you know, because I think that might have been where I got my stunted trait from. Okay. So you want to act, even though you're going to get photo and you still have to find some children from that photo generation, like kind of focus on the selection and see, you know, make sure that you get the 2 best ones, basically. You get traits that you like. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I may have to start bending your ear more as I get deeper into the project.
Cool. Yeah, it's fun. I would love to keep doing it. Right now, I've got some lines that I came into by just doing cross pollinations with autos. Okay. And I did a couple of reversals recently. So I have all that I need to like grow and play with.
Now, how do you feel? I mean, so I heard you say that you're doing reversals. What is your feeling on working with either like a fem line or going regs?
I like both. I mean, so I guess to be honest, I don't like reg photos that much.
No,
because you got to grow them out or you got to get them tested. It's one or the other, right? Otherwise, you just look at so much time to sex them, you know. But obviously, it's worth it. You know, the stuff to find is in there. I think the reg lines are more stable. That's just what I've heard everybody kind of say, or maybe not more stable, but more vigorous. Like you have more chance of finding something really vigorous in a reg line.
Okay.
So, but I had to, there was one, I still had some Raspberry Stomper V1 and I wanted to reverse that really bad and make more of that. So then I threw some other autos in that tent and just did that. And then, with the photos, I have this, the jet fuel, Badger cut that a number of us have. And I wanted to make S1s of that. So same thing. I just threw some other photos in that and made some crosses as well.
Sweet.
So they're looking good. They're coming up right now. They're probably like the crosses of the photos. They're about 8 inches tall. They're really vigorous, nice leaf shape and everything. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah. That'd be the first seeds since the whole thing started, right? I mean, it's been passed around as a cut. Nobody's made seeds.
Yep. It was a one single bag seed that a friend of mine found, like, I want to say almost 5 years ago. And that turned out to be a female. And then it turned out to be really good flowers. So Paranoid can help me fill this story in, but we did a giveaway. And I brought a cut to Hash Bash to him and to Badger. And that was where things went from there. And then I lost it. I lost the mom to the outside. I don't know why. I still couldn't even tell you why I put it outside, but I did. And it got sick, you know. No. So that's why we call it the Badger cut, because Badger saved it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I'd say some great stuff has come off of that too. I originally, when I got that cut from Rudy at Hash Bash 2023, I brought it home, did some clones off this, my first time trying clones. I gave some to TN Genetics, and then he ended up creating Colombian hijacker because he crossed it with his Miami that he'd been growing for years.
Yeah, that's a real. I've got one of those in flower right now. Actually, I'm going to chop it next weekend. That is a really nice plant. That Colombian hijacker is fucking awesome.
It's phenomenal.
That being the only outcross from this cut so far, if the same thing happens with these other ones, I'm super excited because it appears to have taken Miami and made it like a bigger version of jet fuel. So it's got the density and like big, thick buds, but it's got some of Miami's traits, but it's just like jet fuel, but bigger, which is great.
Gotcha. So it seems like that jet fuel is definitely not what you would call like a bully genetics, where it's going to pass on a lot of its, you're going to see a lot of its stuff. Or
yeah, with this one, I mean, it's one cross, but so far, like with that, it looks like that might be the case. We'll see with the other ones. The crosses that I'm growing right now, weirdly enough, they were with a pretty wide variety of strains, and all the crosses as they're growing look consistent. They look similar to each other. So I am wondering if, maybe jet fuel is kind of a dominator.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely noticed that with that 91 grapefruit project that I did. And I mean, of course, that has, tangy Tibaguana in the lineage. So you see that in a lot of the crosses that it comes through. So I'm definitely seeing that with, it is a strong sucker for sure.
Nice. I've got all those seeds that you sent me. I can't wait to pop a few of them.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey, man. Seeing everybody, I've sent them out to anybody and everybody who wanted some. I was like, here you go, grow them out.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on the on the summer, because I made them when it was cold out, so nobody's been able to grow them outside. But it's cool because everybody's like, hey, I usually don't grow regulars, or sometimes regs make people feel uncomfortable, so they don't want to take up their space in the tent, and I totally understand that. So like, fuck it, I'm just gonna throw them outside, and so it's really exciting to see everybody doing their different grow styles with your type, with your gear. And I know there's at least the two of you guys have made seeds as well, and it's always an absolute honor when people put your gear into their tent, because we're all limited on space, we're all limited on what we can grow, and it's a amazing feeling.
Rudy actually did something off of one of my crosses.
Yeah,
that's right.
A few years ago. I did my first little pollination with a Luna Azul from Rockbud, and I crossed it with a blueberry grape from Green Guy Genetics. And I ended up calling it Industrial Athlete. It's a homage to my work. I work in the automotive industry, and one thing that they call you is an industrial athlete because you're constantly running. And for me, I needed something that had THC, CBD, and CBG in it, and both of those mixes have a little bit of something in it. So that's what I wanted. And then I just made them, and Rudy was like, "Hey man, send some of those seeds to me." So I sent them to him, and then of course Rudy can speak on the rest of that.
Yeah, so I had gem pollen. I grew some gem from the F10s and got a male, and so I hit that with gem, the Industrial Athlete, and that is the Moonstone. That is not like out, like only a few people have it, but it's been turning out really well so far. Some of the testers are growing it.
Gem is from Gnome Automatics, right?
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Yep. And that's a high CBG plant.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So that was the idea with Moonstone, was for that to be sort of medicinal, anxiety reducing. And so far, the feedback has been great. And I still have a bunch of seed of that. I have to carry it forward. Shout out Mighty Mike from Discord. He did an F2 of that from 2 plants that he got, and I grew one of those. And it's the weirdest genetic offshoot. It's like Dr. Grinspoon, for real. Like, it looks just like Grinspoon. It's these spindly kind of long branches that come off with tiny little calyx. They're just covered with calyxes.
No kidding.
It's funny.
Now,
so, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, just like, I think like that's cool, but to carry it forward, I think I'm going to go back and look for something with a little more heft to it.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're making some of your selections, we all kind of have our preferred, like Paranoid said, he needs to find something that's going to help with his body and stuff like that. Is there a certain type of effects or anything that you're like, okay, this is what I'm looking for, and this is what I want to work?
Yeah, personally, I like both extremes. So I like a sativa that's like super up, like high dose of caffeine, kind of help you
Almost
clean the house.
Panic attack inducing.
I do actually like. I kind of enjoy that. But I think so. I have a lower like metabolism, sort of lower running system. I forget the term for that. But so I generally gravitate towards things that bring me up with energy. But I also like to have things for bedtime because sometimes my sleep gets dysregulated because I work on the computer all the time. So it's nice to just be able to knock yourself out if you can, you know. So I kind of like both of those extreme ends.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I guess what I don't like that much about hybrids is like you never really know. Like I'm like, oh, this is a hybrid. I'm going to go out and do this thing outside, and then I'm tired, and I'm like, oh, fuck, you know.
Yeah. No, I definitely have one of those ones where it's like depending on what your mood is, right? Like if you're tired, it's going to put you out, or if you're busy doing something, it's going to give you at least a little bit of energy.
Yeah. So that's what I like. But right now, I've been leaning into flavor and looking for different flavors, just because honestly, raspberry stomper got me on that. That is such a terpy plant, and it's just like a creamy bowl of like raspberry cereal.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I want more of this. So that was part of the reason I did some of those crosses. I want to see what other kind of fruity berry terps I can find. And that we were talking about the Queen's Manor Chem Candy cross. I did hit that with raspberry stomper, so that's one of them. So I'm hoping for like a fruity chem a little bit, I guess. We'll see how it turns out.
Hell yeah. I can't wait to see that, dude. It's going to be a fun project. My Nancy Ray guns that I planted, I was getting ready to put them outside, and I had 9 of them and was carrying them up, put them up in the kitchen. And by the time I wrapped everything up down in my room to go bring them outside, my cat had gotten a hold of every single one. I had 9 15-day-old plants, and she just picked
Holy cow. Holy shit.
Fucking clean. And I freaked out, right? Like it was like one of those moments. I walked upstairs and I had all my water and jugs in my hands, and I literally like they just dropped. And I was like, what I couldn't even just like process what I was looking at. And I went upstairs and I sat down on the edge of my bed and I just stared off into I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? I was like, this is a whole project I just had planned. I had like literally like the day before just talked about it for the first time on the podcast. And I was like, well, that's it. The project is done. I pulled a rookie move and it all got fucked up.
That's rough.
Shout out to Master Yoda. Master Yoda is local to me. And I hit him up and I said, hey, because I knew that he had gotten the shirt from Alabrije and I knew that he had those seeds. And I was like, what can I give you for those seeds, dude? Like, I'm in a bad spot. Like, he's like, just come on by. Just come on by. These seeds are yours. So the project is back on. We've got, I think like 4 or 5 of them just popped up over the past couple of days. So, but yeah, man, just the heartbreaking stuff that comes in with doing these projects, right? I mean, you guys know you've messed with them, and you could put generations of work in, and then it goes to shit, and it's heartbreaking when those things happen. Has anything like that happened with any of your projects that you really were like, you were just so bummed when something went wrong?
Oh, the Mojito photo to autocross. When I started realizing, like, I think these are all runty, I was like, shit, you know? Yeah. That was one. Early on, before I really like wrapped my head around RH, I got bud rot in an entire room, and it surprised me because I didn't have cameras set up yet. And that was a moment like that. I walked up and I was just like, what?
What is happening?
Every cola was just white and fuzzy. I was like, oh my God, you know? And then I remember since I was still learning, and I was like, well, you know, I knew, okay, this is bud rot. But I reached up and like cracked one of the colas open, and like a little cloud of spores poofed out of it. And I was like, holy shit. Oh, this is all done. So yeah, that was a bad one. Like actually putting, you know, what would have been a full crop into the compost bin. That was a bummer.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
This shit's always heartbreaking, man. Anytime anything goes wrong in the garden, you know, I mean, a lot of this stuff is out of our controls. You know, I mean, we do get to control a lot of it indoors, but ultimately the plant's going to do what it wants to do, right? You know, if it's susceptible to something, it's shit's going to fucking happen. Yeah. Just got to go with the flow.
Yeah. And then I got last year, knock on wood, I hate talking about it out loud, but I got mites in the kitchen. I had some plants on a table in the kitchen, and I had the window open that has a screen on it, but mites fly around on the wind, you know, and I'm sure they came right through. And I came down one morning because I'd actually like run out of room. So that's why I put some plants on the table under these. I have LED lights in the kitchen. So I can just leave them. I can just leave them on 24 hours, and that's enough to like keep some plants going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I walked down in the morning and saw the webbing and saw the little dots, and I was like, just wanted to cry. Like, yeah. So I did manage to save a few of those though. Like I threw out the ones that were infected, and then I stripped all the other ones down to just a few leaves and sprayed them with Zymes and Lost Coast every day for like a week.
Okay, so that was what I was going to ask you. What do you do for those situations? Yeah,
strip as much as you can off the plant and then spray with something good and alternate sprays between 2 or 3 different products.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you tried that Monsters capsaicin stuff? I actually just made some about a week ago.
I did do that outdoors a couple of years ago. It was good. It worked good for grasshoppers, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. We had some wicked, like hundreds and hundreds of grasshoppers, and they were just eating all the leaves. So I had to make some of that, but that actually, it worked about like 75%. And then I've had luck in the past with insidious, what are they called? Osiris insidious or some, there's a little predatory bug that goes after thrips and mites and stuff. It looks like a little crab almost. Insidious flower bug, minute pirate bug. Yeah.
They kill Jedis.
Totally. But they did a pretty good job in this outdoor of regulating whatever might have been there. So we never saw like an infestation of something, but it was straight up outside in a spot where you would get, like, there's an apple tree next to it that was covered in spider mites. And it was like, you know, but they actually never moved over. And then I learned from that too, that mites prefer apples. Like they prefer apple trees, so they will actually hang out in an apple tree and just not go anywhere.
So I would take it as an apple tree is your companion plant.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The apple is sacrificial.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of apples, shout out to Yag. I got their Yag Brihé shirt, so that came in yesterday. So,
okay.
I was going to say, that's pretty eye-opening about Johnny.
Taking one for the team.
I also like, I haven't done this in a while now I think about it, but I did like when I was in school, I did some time in France, and a lot of what they do there is roll hash into tobacco. And unfortunately, it's mostly commercial cigarettes, which is gross. But if you have natural tobacco and you roll it up with some hash, like, it can be nice if you like tobacco. So
I'm gonna actually have to give that a try, because I am growing my first tobacco plants this year.
Fuck yeah, dude!
We've got we're hosting a little bit of a grow along over on the Discord. Shout out to Focus. A lot of us are growing his seeds, and he's got like an awesome guide on all of it, and he was willing to come join the Discord and kind of hold our hand through it. So I am super stoked for that, and that's gonna be, I guess that's gonna be something that I'm gonna have to try to do, is because I'm an ex-smoker. I was smoking like a pack and a half a day. And it took me forever to quit. Like I struggled with it so bad.
It's a chemical. It's that fucking chemicals, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited though for my first one, because I have heard people that say it's just completely different. You know, I'm not a blunt smoker, so I don't like any of that stuff. But they're like, a fresh homegrown tobacco leaf. He's like, it's not the same.
Yeah, I'm a evangelist about this, but with the caveat that, like, I'm not a pushy person about tobacco. So people that don't smoke, I'm not trying to push on you. But for people that do smoke or want to, I'm trying to super evangelize this topic, because there's you'll never do anything better for yourself aside from people say quitting, but is switching to natural tobacco. And I say quit commercial cigarettes, but I think there are some people that are genetically tuned to different plants. And if you find a healthy way to consume something, fucking go at it. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
On that point, that's what made me stop smoking was the breathing. I had a hard time breathing.
Yep.
And that's what got me. Otherwise it's just tobacco. I mean, like I'd find, working long hours, right? You could smoke and somehow it's giving you energy, or maybe it's just something in your mind, it was just something that was able to, keep you going. So
yeah,
I know Focus talks about the working man's plant, right? So I mean, it's got a lot of uses, right?
I need to hop over and get in on that because I grew tobacco 1 year, but it all cured green, so I never smoked it because I was a little paranoid about that. You can get sick from that.
Sure.
No, he's paranoid. Properly. You're Rudy.
But this is what I get. Some of you guys can see this. It's from a company called Leaf Only. And it's organic. It's USDA organic, and it's like $28 a pound. It's like a fifth of the cost of American Spirit. If you're going to roll your own, it's ridiculously cheap. But
what variety of tobacco that is? Does it say?
Yeah, this is American Virginian.
Okay.
So they have a Canadian Virginian that's a little bit lighter. I like the stuff that's a tad darker. So these are the leaves, and basically, I have a shredder that's kind of like a paper shredder that this company also sells, and you just destem the leaves and then just drop them through this shredder, and that ends me up with like a swag that I can roll. But I love it. There's no chemical. It's all organic. You will get like some organic stuff. You'll get some dust, or like I've found ladybugs in here occasionally. But I take the leaves out, I shake them off, I kind of brush them off, and then run them through the shredder, and it's great. And so personal anecdote, I used to smoke Camels, and I had a pit in the middle of my chest that I could always feel something like, that was starting to, this is kind of scary. It was like a pinching kind of sense. That's completely gone. Now I can, walk miles. I can ride my bike. I'm not like a runner, but like I have decent cardio. And that's why I say, I think, if you do smoke and you're stuck on commercial cigs, really try switching to natural tobacco. You'll notice a difference. You can decide if you want to fully quit or not. But the chemical that they put in there is they put specifically addictive chemicals. And I'm going to catch total shit for this, but I don't think nicotine itself is addictive. I think it's all the shit that they put in there. That they specifically, because the tobacco companies, when they started getting big, they brought in scientists and said, what can we put in here? And I wish I could remember the name of the compound, but there's like 5 or 7 different compounds that they were like, put this in the cigs and then people will keep buying them, Yeah.
Substance D, they called it.
And Substance D. And I like to try to tell people too, because a lot of smokers don't know about reconstituted sheet tobacco and what that is.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know if American Spirit does this. They probably do it just without chemical because they say it's only tobacco and water. You're like, where's the water? Why water? Why isn't it just tobacco? Yeah. So, but what the larger companies do is they take the cast off from like cigar factories and places that make high quality tobacco products, the stem, the extra shit, all that shit. They dissolve it in a solvent, much like you would do with like BHO. They run a solvent through it and turn it into a paste. And then they spread it into a sheet and they dry that and they shred that. So that they make a paste with the tobacco and all the chemical that they want in that consistency, and they shred it to look like shredded tobacco once it's dried out. That's what's horrible. In cigarettes.
That's what it seems like blunt wraps are.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Because it's definitely not a leaf. It's like a fruit roll up.
No. And to me, it's a huge travesty because I think tobacco is a plant that a lot of people do sort of have a relationship with or could for positive reasons, but it's been completely taken over by these companies and we're not even getting the plant, So, yeah. I mean, commercial cigs, you might as well just roll up some shit off the freeway, honestly. That's what they're nasty.
It reminds me of that. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. I've seen him on Instagram. I think he's the I don't give a fuck food or whatever. and he sits in these places, right? So he sits on like a bucket, and he has one I just saw today was the monsters, like the energy drink, right? And he's sitting there. He's like, you see that house behind me? I used to smoke crack in there and have to go out through the back door because I thought the people in the parking lot across from me were watching me. He goes, and they're telling me that this monster is a poison. Blah, blah, blah. He goes, I don't give a fuck. Same kind of thing, man. Like that's like, he does like these wild, takes on foods and why he doesn't give a fuck and what he's consuming. So
that's funny.
Which just made me think of that.
Just like caffeine or like cannabis, like nicotine is the easy drug of choice for people, but like the delivery methods aren't the best, especially with commercial products.
Yep. Yeah, and natives were smoking it out of a pipe for years. Yeah. And obviously I don't have like cancer studies from native times, but I'm curious. That it makes me curious. I wonder. I would almost guarantee 99% that the prevalence of cancer that we're seeing from this shit is from the chemical. That's my supposition.
One of the other things that I heard y'all recently talk about was some of your inputs. You dabble in the KNF, Jadam style gardening. And I too have started a few ferments and mess around with some of those. What do you got cooking? I
haven't started anything yet for this year because of the cold, really. It's like still chilly outside, but I want to start soon. Like the nettle are coming up. So that'll be my first go-to is try to harvest a bunch of like fresh green nettle when it's like a couple of feet high. Oh, yeah. And last year I just did shit in a bucket and scooped it out, and that was super messy and kind of a pain. So I want to try to set up a like a brewing bucket with a spigot and a little filter on it, so I could like just go and fill my stuff from there. But I just fermented.
That's what I'm doing.
Oh, right on. Cool.
I don't have the tap. I don't have the tap in it though, but I have it in the bucket with the airlock on top. Too afraid to open it, but they just turned a year old.
It's nice. It's an incredible smell. It's really something. It's just, it'll make you take a second, Yeah. So I used it in one full run in my room and was focused on like the dosage and checking the pH and stuff. So I ended up using a cup of the JLF per gallon of water. And then I would only have to pH down like a half a point.
Now, how were you making that original J? Like, was it just basically like a water extraction, just water in the plant material?
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Just water in a bucket and a bunch of green stuff. Submerge it, put a rock on top or something like that, and then just leave it. And the hotter it gets, the better, because it'll sit there and ferment. And when it starts to smell like baby shit and like a cow farm combined, then you're good. Yeah.
It's ready.
Oh, just the smell in the room. Like it was a thing. Like it only hangs out for about a day. Maybe a day and a half, and then it'll dissipate, but it does stink up the whole inside space.
Yeah, that's been my work. I haven't gone to wanting to use it inside. I've always been very, if I make an input outside or if someone's made something outside, I always get very weary of bringing it into my indoor garden. So I've kind of come to this conclusion that a lot of the stuff, like if I do like the ferments or whatever from material that I'm gathering outside, it's just meant for the outside garden. But yeah, so the way I started this, I collected a bunch of like just big, huge leafy material out in my backyard and ended up doing the leaf mold ferment. So what, basically the same style you did, put all the material in the bottom, chopped it up, fine. And then I went out into my wood line and just grabbed a couple handfuls of leaf mold, threw it in there, and I got that sitting out there with out of direct sunlight. So I'm excited. That's going to be my inputs for this year.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I did the JMS, the microbial solution where you do a potato,
yeah,
and leaves. Yeah. And that was interesting. I mean, it had a nice effect on the plants. That like Jadam / KNF, I just did a mixture of all things. But that was the strongest flower I've ever grown for myself.
Oh, no kidding.
It was very, very potent. Yeah. I definitely noticed that difference.
Yeah, I think Cooter would agree. Stink in, stink out for sure.
That's what I was going to say. I want some of that Cooter shit.
Yeah, man. He's on.
I think what's fun on the fermented stuff is you can play around. Like I think some of these like schools get a little bit restrictive, and I know there's a tradition, you know, and you're supposed to use this or that. But I've also heard stories like you guys know Gabby Garden Spout, who's been on some other podcasts. He's involved in the early scene in the 90s. Anyway, he has talked about he used to make this vat of shit where he literally threw everything into it, like McDonald's burgers, you know, meat, leftover veggie, kitchen compost, eggshells, literally everything went into this vat, and he fed that to his plants.
Band-Aids.
Yeah. He said they did great. It's so much so that he actually took like a starter of it with him when he moved and then restarted it. Kind of like a sourdough. Yeah.
I wonder how bad that had to have smelled awful.
I'm sure.
I wonder if there's any pictures out there of what that looked like. Cause I know just leaving some shit out in your yard and it being plant material, that shit will start changing colors and you're getting this and that stink that comes off that. I can't imagine like food and meat.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's wild. I did a rutabaga ferment. I had a rutabaga plant, or I'm sorry, not rutabaga, rhubarb. Big rhubarb plant that was just kind of growing wild. And so I chopped that up and fermented that. And that also like plants liked it. So yeah,
I've got one that actually just bolted. I got a few plants of rhubarb that bolted on me, and they're like 6 foot tall, just have all the pollen coming off of it. I may have to do that. Just chop that bitch down and ferment that.
Yeah. Cause I think the principle with that is like anything that's got vigorous growth, it's like does like, or like treats like, you know, so if you want vigorous growth, get something that's vigorous. Like one thing I haven't played with yet that I did a little bit, but is in flour, doing another ferment of flowers, fruit, you know, like just like fruit and flowers.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Or like, you know, flower petals, the full heads when they're blooming, just chop all those and put them all in with some fruit, try to ferment that.
It's the idea that whatever that material is like that's going to be the nutrients that it's going to have. Right. So like they say, like a big one's comfrey. Comfrey is a really good one for vegetative growth. And comfrey is one of those bioaccumulators. So it's got all kinds of good shit in it. So I actually got some that I got to start this weekend. I got to harvest some. So.
Oh, nice. Cool. I have one comfrey plant that I've kept for years. It survived in a 5-gallon bucket through the winter for like 5 years.
It's fucking tough, dude.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Tough plants.
Mm-hmm. So it's in the ground now. And I'm hoping this last year it kind of got established. And this year I'm hoping for, you know, a big comfrey plant.
Y'all got me wanting to grow outdoors so bad. Y'all have no idea.
Well, hopefully you're going to be settled into your new place somewhat soon. So you may be able to still get some of the season out.
Yeah, I hope so. That's like I was telling Rudy the other day, you know, I'm really wanting to get a greenhouse, just slap one up real quick and try a little something outdoors because I've always wanted to grow in a greenhouse and this is my opportunity now that I got land. So I'm looking forward to it.
How big you going, you think?
I'm going to send do a small one, probably like a 6x12 or something, you know, just, you know, throw it together and see what happens. And I wouldn't mind doing some supplemental lighting if I can get away with it. I don't know how, you know, I only do have one neighbor, a human neighbor. The rest of them are cows. So I'm not sure if those cows are going to snitch on me or anything, but yeah, let's see. What's that glow going on over there?
You're going to get into automated light depth before you know it.
I probably will.
That's what I'm learning about this year. I'm going to take a real shot at setting one up with a friend. Got the motors, got the timer. We got to look into getting poles. The pole for the tarps is actually one of the harder things to find, like a 30-foot pole, you know, that's modular, that doesn't have like seams or rough stuff on it that the tarp can actually roll around. But I've been learning all about like grades and like the physics of gravity with the grades, and like, cause it has to drop. Like when you automate light depth, you have the tarp rolling, but it unrolls with gravity mostly. The motor is just moving the apparatus. So it has to have enough to like pull the tarp down on the side.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll bind up and then it won't roll all the way.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's one of my dreams is to have a greenhouse on my property at some point. That sounds fucking wild, dude. I'm excited to see if you guys get that all up and going, and we'll have to show how you did it.
It's a gotta for me this year because last year we did manual light dep, and so I was with a buddy, so we traded off. But every other day for 2 months, I went in the morning and at night and rolled and unrolled this tarp. Like it got to, by the end of the harvest, we are just like, okay, this has to be automated next time. Yeah. It was crazy. It was a lot of work.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Now, other than what kind of veggies and stuff? You have a pretty big veggie garden, or what are you doing outside?
Pretty basic, honestly. Like I'm more into herbs. I have grown veggies in the past, but I like to have a wide kind of staple of like sage, lavender, thyme, oregano, chives, that kind of stuff. Like I was trying to cultivate more of like an herb garden in the last couple of years. Yeah. I did tomatoes, but I don't eat that many tomatoes. So you always just end up, I was like, what the fuck is this, barrel of tomatoes? Yeah. Yeah. And then peppers, it's too cold where I live to really do them effectively. You have to cover them at the end of the season. So it's a whole thing. So yeah, but just playing with herbs. I really like growing lavender. That's been a lot of fun just because like the more you have it, the better it smells. It just radiates in the yard, It's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually just got someone bought some property at the end of my road, and they're a farming type company, I guess. They have another farm on the other side of the state, but that's what they bought the property down the road from me for, was to make a lavender farm. And wow. They built the structure up, and I see these guys coming out and they're putting I don't know if they're doing soil tests or whatever, but they've got all these little things out in there, and I see them out there doing all this work. So it's going to be interesting to see what a lavender farm down the road from me is going to smell like. And fucking bees, I'm sure, are going to be crazy, man. I'm excited for it, actually, to see how that all progresses. That's awesome. That's really cool. That's going to be really cool. Yeah. I just like having a few of the plants around. Being by a farm would be amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be just nice enough where they're all blooming and I can be able to just smell it wafting down the road. Mm-hmm. That is definitely a pleasant smell. A couple other things I like growing that I have fun with are echinacea. Echinaceas are beautiful, beautiful flower. It's really, really cool. And then you can preserve the root and use that, for immunity and stuff. And a horseradish, growing a horseradish and then processing the root. That's a trip. It's a lot of fun to make your own horseradish. Yeah. You got to be careful with it because it can like knock people out. Oh, really? Just overpowering. When you blend it up. Yeah. You have to be careful about not, because if you were to like smell the blender, it can actually knock you out. Oh, shit. Yeah. It's crazy.
Y'all ever try growing like wildflowers or anything?
Not me personally. No.
I did last year.
Cool. Yeah, we just scatter seeds on the edge of the yard. That's about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can dig it. Yeah. My goal, I've got like 3/4 of an acre back here, and my goal is to not have to mow it. I want to be able to just have it where it's like a little paradise back there. When we bought the property, it was like, fuck, I got to get a riding lawnmower. And then I'm out there every week cutting this stupid fucking grass. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I am not that person that wants this big, huge field of grass just to look at, So we started adding fruit trees here. We got some grapes here. We got some, berry bushes here, and got a garden here. So I would love to, my wife really wants like a little spot where she can go read her books and just be like surrounded by flowers or something like that. So that'd be cool to get some like native New England, plants, and just kind of designate a little area that just kind of does its own thing.
Hell yeah. Do you have, I suppose you can always just plant a bush. Do you have any blueberries around you?
So I do have one blueberry bush, but I'll be honest with you. I think I got it at Aldi's, and I haven't seen much progression with it in the past couple of years. It's stayed very small. It never seems really happy. I think I may have to either treat my soil around there or maybe dig some area out and kind of get some more soil that blueberries like.
Yeah.
But as far as like wild blueberries around me or any of my neighbors, I don't think anybody else has blueberries around me, but that is definitely something that I want to add to the property.
I do know some soil that you can add to your blueberries. Is that Cooter Stanky Super Soil?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Well, I have to hit him up. I have to hit him up.
We're surrounded by wild blueberries. They're everywhere. They are hard to transplant because they require a really specific environment. But if they're well drained and if you have like sandy soil or if you can mix sand into your soil, that'll help. There's like areas near the coastline.
A lot of sand here. So I figured they were going to be fine, but I don't know. Maybe it might just be the Aldi brand of blueberries.
I always thought it'd be fun if you had a patch to grow a blueberry terped cannabis plant, like out of that, in the middle of that patch and see if that would amplify it,
May have to give that a try.
I don't want to forget. I need to follow up after this and get into your tobacco grow project. I want to try that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you need any seeds or anything? Or are you good to go?
I have some. Yeah, but I mean, I'm always excited to try other things. But I have some that I ordered a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I will. I've got 3 varieties from Focus. I've got the CT broadleaf, the Keller, and the yellow twist bud.
Okay.
And I think I still got your address, so I will get some up to you. And
hell yeah.
I know they take long. I was so bummed because I thought I fucked mine up. They were just running really slow. And then I put them outside in my greenhouse and we were having great weather, and then it got really cold. And a bunch of my tobacco plants, I guess they are very susceptible to cold and frost. So I started getting a lot of necrosis on a lot of the leaves, and it was just one leaf out of like 4 that were just dead and all curled up. And so they're barely limping along out there, but it's starting to warm up a little bit and they're starting to pull through. I had some backups in my little greenhouse, and I didn't close the door all the way. And I came out one day and my greenhouse is just across my yard, and all my tobacco, like all the whole seedling tray and everything is just like all on the side, like on the roof. Like I was like, well, all my backups are gone now.
Oh man.
Another heartbreaking moment in gardening. This is what I'm finding. There's a lot of being tested with gardening. That's what I find. You've got to learn your patience, and you just got to accept things to be the way they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I found mine outside today.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Finally. It's huge. It looks like a ceiling fan.
It's fucking big. I think you've got the biggest within the group right now. I mean, it's huge.
Nice.
I've been waiting for the weather to warm up, so I've just been continually up-potting it.
Cool.
As it grows, and now it's in a 5-gallon, and it's like about the size of a ceiling fan.
You can't even see you can't even see the container anymore. It's just this big thing.
I found the same thing about this sensitivity. Like when I did grow it, they took a really long time to start. Yes. Really long time to sprout, like 2 weeks, I think, if I remember right, to sprout.
It took mine a while for them to come up.
Yeah. How did you do them in like starter cubes, like peat cubes, or just a little bit of soil in a tray, or how'd you start them?
My first ones that I started, I because I knew that I was going to have to end up potting because I started them so early. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to start with a decent amount of soil underneath it. So I started them in solo cups, and I just sprinkled, 3 or 4, because I guess the germ rate was pretty high on his stuff. So planted them in there, and they lived out most of their life. Like when I pulled them out of the solo cups, they had barely grown into much of them. But yeah, that's how I started mine.
Cool.
I have a silicone ice cube tray where I hole punch the bottom of each cube, and then I just put soil in that.
Nice.
And now we just pop them out like ice cubes.
Nice. Awesome. Great.
I don't know if it was ChatGPT or if I just Googled it, but I was going through like all this junk in my garage, and then I would look up like, how can I upcycle this? And that was one of the things. It's like poke holes in the bottom, use it as a seedling tray. I'm like, all right, cool.
Cool. Yeah, that AI is really it's been something that I know some of y'all have started messing with. Nerd, you've been using it for a while. Rudy, you've been using it for a while. I just started getting into messing with it, and it's a lot of fun, man, to see what it can do and kind of to bounce ideas off of it. It's definitely a fun tool, but it's also one of those things like, oh shit, it's kind of scary too, you know.
Yeah, I just heard somebody say yesterday, and I don't know where they're getting this statistic from, but that it's doubling in capacity every 3 months, which is kind of mind blowing, meaning like in 2 years, it's going to be like 500,000 times more powerful than it, you know, or whatever that works out to be. But it's crazy. We have no idea what's coming.
No,
no, like in terms of predictions, the future is wide open. It's pretty wide. As long as the grid stays up. That's my whole thing with all this. It all just relies on the power grid being available.
Sure. Yeah, it's always been like one of those things where, like, not saying that like I've struggled with it, but it's like we, as humans, right, as we become more advanced and we try, you know, with AI, or like we start cloning people or cloning animals. Like, what is too far? When are we playing as God? You know, and kind of getting into those weird, like, we better be careful what we create. Because it's gonna.
Grateful just discovered sci-fi on its own. That's why I've been reading Philip K. Dick all week, because I've been having similar feelings.
Yeah, man. Just curious. I think we were talking about this on our last podcast, but I think one of the bigger threats of it is just on an individual level, that it degrades our ability to think critically and to really reason out scenarios. Like, I think we just need to be, not to say don't use AI, because I use it, but we need to be careful that we use it to learn instead of relying on it, you know, because then it'll be just like that muscle will atrophy.
Yeah.
It's like was it the Druids when we were shifting from oral tradition to writing, the Druids didn't like writing because they're like, you're going to forget everything, you know? So we're kind of in a weird, similar cycle right now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was having a similar conversation with someone the other day about it, because I use it to make myself smarter, but I think like the average person is like screwed. Where, because like even before AI, people still couldn't tell like what was photoshopped and what wasn't, when like looking at social media posts and stuff, and now that's even harder. And then I always imagined like 30 years down the line that there's like a dominant religion where the God is a living algorithm, right?
Yeah.
Because like for computer people, you know, you're just interacting with code, but like I feel like a lot of people are going to become like disillusioned with it, or like they'll like fall under the trance of it. Yeah.
You guys heard that dude? I'll refrain from the colorful language, but Yuval Noah Harari, the guy who wrote *Sapiens*, where he talks about that. He's like, you know, basically implying that AI can be our God, you know. So he's like kind of a hardcore atheist, but he's like, the God is in the AI, and that's what we need to make God. And it starts to like get pretty wild, where you're like, okay, calm down, you know, let's just calm down on this a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, these a lot of these Agenda 2030 assholes think that. I think that they're going to try to make a religion out of it somehow. Yeah. Who knows? It depends on who controls it. Like, while the big money, you know, if the big money and the power structure controls it, then we kind of have nothing to do with it. Almost, we're just along for the ride, you know, unless we can find our own way to you know, sustain ourselves. But I'm curious where the future. Yeah, like. So, yeah, I'm just curious how this is going to go, because these guys that, like, you know, Gates and Altman, who are building these giant server farms, and they're discussing, I think they're already building nuclear plants, to supplement them because the grid's not enough. And like our grid can fucking barely handle what we have right now. We have brownouts all over the country. There's regular blackouts, like you get a little burp from the sun and like half the country is done for a day. And like that kind of thing, there's this weird disparity between the reality of our electrical system and what these guys want to do with the future. And that's where I'm waiting to see how that plays out,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I've always thought of kind of getting I like the idea of the solar and stuff and being able to be self-sufficient. But it's like one of those things where even just looking into it, it's so fucking expensive. And unless you get those systems with like the batteries and all that shit, you're kind of just at mercy of the sun. And when you live in the Northeast, we spend a lot of time where it's not getting great sun. So like I'm spending all this money and then for what, and I have a hard time with the solar. I would love it, but it would have to be like disposable income for me to be like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. Like, I have a decent sized family, but one of my brothers lives on a farm where they're off grid, but they have these giant panels and they take care of this place for another guy who owns all this stuff. But it's a lot. I want to say it's, was it like 20,000 watts or 50,000 watts? It was a crazy number. Lots of power. Yeah. So it runs this whole place. But yeah, it's a lot of money to get into. And on wind, even a small wind setup for a house is like 20 grand, Yeah. Yeah.
Someday.
We all got
my imagination.
I think that the whole, the hydrogen power, like splitting hydrogen from water and using that, I think that's been fully suppressed. Like that kind of should be one of our main technologies. Yeah. But they killed the people that tried to come out with it here and there when they pop up. Have like suicided with 2 shots to the back of the head kind of thing.
Yeah. There was actually that to that point. There was an episode you guys had talked about that guy that's doing the plastiline. I followed him here and there and seen some of the stuff he's doing, and I got to watch when he first put it inside. I think they put it like in an F-250, and the crowd just going wild and just seeing everything. Like, it's really fucking cool what these people are coming up with, and why not let them do that? And it was funny.
100%.
You mentioned, don't everybody keep an eye on this guy and make sure he doesn't end up, suicide.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you read the comments on his posts, and they're all like, "Protect this boy." Like, somebody make sure that he's okay. And yeah. Because I really think it is like that. Like especially if something is economically viable. But imagine if we could just split if we had, like, with some investment money, you could develop the tech to make a hydrogen motor, that was replicable. And
I haven't done much looking or studying into that stuff, but I
just water. We could just run everything off of water. It's fucking crazy. So I think the energy cartel kind of like took that from us. That's my worldview.
You can see that. Yeah. Fucking dude, the electricity company, man, they find a way monopoly, dude, and they charge so much. Like here in the state that I live in, it is absolutely insane, and we get taxed on everything. Or there's this new thing that came along with our electric bill. It's like a part of an assistance program. So not only am I paying for like the electricity that I use, and then the delivery fee and this and that, but now I'm paying towards assistant programs for people that can't afford it. So now it comes even more out of my pocket. It's like, when the fuck does it end of the government taking and taking?
And being really inefficient in the way that they're making power. They're like, here, this is the electricity you have to buy, but we're doing it in the worst way possible so that it's the most expensive it can be. It's crazy. I'm starting to see some weird stuff. So like just in the last like 5 years, we started getting a bill that was essentially like the same amount as my water bill, but it was a sewage maintenance bill. I was like, okay, but from a different company that's not in the state even. And so for a while, like I tried to call it and just not pay it. And nope, hit the credit, get the calls, everybody, like the whole system starts into place. So I was like, okay, this is wild. So I was trying to figure out what it is, because there's no meter on our sewer. There's no way to prove a service that they actually provide. But the name of their company is the name of a lake that's right here. They have the same name. And I think it's one of these like environmental asset corporations, like part of the whole Paris Climate Accords, where they can establish a company around like a part of the environment and then basically charge for the maintenance of that thing. Shit. Yeah. So I think that's what I'm seeing. I was curious if it's coming up anywhere else in the country, but yeah, it's pretty wild. So yeah, I'm not surprised they try to do that with utilities and with power and everything else, you know?
Yeah, it's wild. And that's actually one of the questions I had for you, because I know craft and cannabis, you guys tend to dive into a lot of stuff that people either aren't talking or what some people may consider conspiracies. If you had somebody that doesn't really do any looking into that kind of stuff, and there would be one conspiracy, so to speak, what would you say to kind of look into as kind of like your first take the dive down into the dark hole? Where are you sending somebody?
Boy, that's a hard one, because there's a lot. I would say in terms of just like you want a nice introduction to a lot of material, that Sam Tripoli's Tinfoil Hat podcast is a really good place to start, because he's got hundreds and hundreds of episodes. He's been doing it for a while. So there's a huge library to dive into. And he's a comedian, so he's funny, but he's open to diving into all these different areas. So there's a lot of like, sort of like the normal stuff, quote unquote, and then like the wild stuff as well. But
what was the name of the podcast again?
The Tinfoil Hat podcast.
Cool.
It's great. Yeah.
Check them out. So
in terms of conspiracies and stuff, that's kind of like where I would point people for content. But as far as like one, it's hard to say, like, you know, I think just wrapping your head around the idea that we are assets to the government, that this rosy picture of that we're all in it together and we elected these people and they do. I think everybody knows that's bullshit. I think the occasional person here and there who believes that is just
the government's our friend.
I don't know what to say. Yeah,
they're in it for us.
Yeah, but just and then the idea that people wouldn't scheme and do dark things. I think so. This is actually, now you're making me think of a good way to put it. That psychopathy is a big problem in our world. That, like, if you look at the studies around psychopathy, it's sort of impossible to diagnose, but it does exist, in that there are people that have no empathy mechanism. They completely, like, sort of reptilian, like I could kill you and not feel bad about it at all, you know?
Yeah.
Like that those kind of people exist, but they're not all violent criminals. Some of them wear suits, you know? And so the idea that there are bad people that do things that we can't wrap our heads around because we wouldn't do them, I think that's kind of like a good first step to get into, to just realize that, yeah, like, this really fucked up shit that sounds kind of too fantastical to be true, that it is true, because there are bad people that don't care about other people. They don't have the thing that does that, you know? Yeah.
I do, just my personality, I do try to stay away from any stuff that gets me going down rabbit holes, because then I will hyperfixate on it, or like I start watching it and then my anxiety goes up and I'm like, and my brain just starts going and I can't stop it. So I do try to stay away from too much stuff. Like, I'll just kind of not live in my ignorance, but, you know, there's only so much that I can do, you know, just keep my head down and do my own thing.
Similar. Yeah. I like to, like, as weird as this might sound, I'm not big on activism. I think, like, what we should try to change is just our sphere. You know, like you, your family, your space, and your friends, if that works, you know, like, but just that sphere. Yeah. And so you have to sort of balance it out too, I think. By really, I'm going to make my space good. I'm going to make my head good. Like, that's another thing too, is that, like, so we're influenced by so much stuff, that it's important to watch
in front of us all the time.
Yeah. So it's important to watch your own thinking and internal dialogue and sort of create like an observer mechanism if you can, so that you can tell when you're having influenced thoughts or like ones that you have generally sort of birthed on your own.
Sure.
You know? Yeah. Because that's a big thing too right now. Like, you know, we all have these triggers for whatever, you know, like for food or for things that I want to buy for entertainment, for tchotchkes and for all that kind of stuff. It's just like we're constantly being influenced, but we then will absorb the influence and then think that I desire this thing when in fact that came from somewhere else, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild shit. But actually that was one of the other things, speaking on that, is that the worm talk that you guys had on your podcast. I'm like one of those people that when you watch a video, right, and someone gets hit in the nuts, it's like you're that, like you feel that pain, right? And so when listening to you guys talking about that, I was like, I would feel like my knee twitch or something like that. I'm like, oh fuck, my worms are acting up. Like, you know, I was like, and all day I was like, I wasn't hyper fixated, but I was thinking like, oh, now I'm thinking about fucking worms in my body. So I did want to say, you know, thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
No.
I've been wanting to talk about that for a while, so I'm kind of glad that we brought that up, because I did need some information on that. But I know it grossed everybody out for sure.
I mean, it's reality though, when you think about it. Like, that was like, I would see those videos of people at like conventions, or they show, you know, you see something where people have their feet in a certain sort of solution, right? And what it is, it's supposed to detox you from, like, it pulls the worms out or some shit, and you'd see them swimming in there. The water looks all nasty. And that shit's always like not fun to look at.
Yeah. Well, I agree. That's kind of like what we were talking about. It's just not a part of our culture to think about. I think that's probably why we're sort of overrun in this case, because like in China, or at least in the traditional Chinese culture, they do that regularly. They do parasite cleanses. It's kind of like just part of what you understand about life, you know, but we didn't get that here. And I think sometimes I wonder too, if we got through like antibiotics and medicine and everything's nicely packaged in plastic and it's all clean, we start to subconsciously think of ourselves as being sterile somehow. You know, when we're not. We're like a wet mass of bacteria and fungus and, you know, all this kind of stuff. Like, so
at least my ex is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, like for me, because I'll get a little OCD about things sometimes. So it helps to remember when I feel gross about thinking about having parasites in my body. I'm like, hey, I'm still walking around. This is just part of the thing. It can be dealt with. You know, it doesn't have to be freaked out about. So, but it is gross. Yeah.
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 It does make me interested to try in some kind of way, just to be like, just to see what comes out, you know what I mean? Just to see if like, I mean, obviously we you know, we all do. And you guys had mentioned about, you know, being around animals and stuff. And I've got to be riddled with these fucking things.
Dude, I fish and I cut my hands, and I have, you know, live fish in my hands with cuts on them like that. So yeah, I've got them for sure. 100%. Anything like that. But
damn it.
Yeah.
One of these, I'll try it.
I can ruin something else for you if you want.
You might as well.
We just call it Rudy ruin stuff.
He's like, all right, so you know that burnt potato chip at the bottom of the bag?
Yep.
That's actually a CIA tracking chip.
Yeah.
Sour cream and onion.
No, but I was talking to a buddy of mine recently because he found some suspicious looking things in some meat that he got. And it was like, ooh, that's a bummer, you know. But I had recalled that a couple of years ago, one time when I put my RV away for the winter, there was a steak in the freezer that I completely forgot about. And that freezer was sealed the whole winter. And I went back to it in the spring, and of course, like, open it was like, what the fuck? Ooh. But the entire inside of that freezer was covered in dead flies. Where did the flies come from? They must have been in the meat. there must have been larvae in that meat, you know? So then it was like, that was just a regular old steak I got from a grocery store. So I guess started thinking like, you know, I think like it just helps to be a little bit more broad about what we think about what we eat and stuff, because it's all kind of grosser than you want to think.
That's true.
You know,
it is true. Yeah.
And then Johnny Knoxville is always kind of like my go-to for looking at somebody who's survived everything. Johnny Knoxville is walking around. I'm probably going to be okay.
Yeah, right. That's true. That is very true.
And Steve-O, both of those guys.
Yeah. They definitely got worms.
We literally watched them eat them.
Oh no. But yeah, I think I definitely got that. Whatever that I think it was I want to say you said it was a fungus, but craves sugar.
Candida, yeah.
Mine's acting up. It's always wanting that sugar. And it's been tough, dude. That is one of the toughest things that I think I struggle with now.
It's hard, dude. It's hard. It's part of this like extraction mentality that we got in society. Like you rewind back to when people were just eating fruit or like kind of cooking with fruit or using fruit for sweetness.
Whatever was local.
Right. And then like all these food industries and the petroleum industries start to explode. And these businessmen realize that, well, there's sugar cane, but we can extract it and refine it and sell that. And that is when like you start to see the degradation in health in society. And so like I have a friend who talks to me about this kind of thing all the time, and that like she's basically like just avoid anything that's extracted, which is funny because I know we talk about hash and stuff like that. But in general, when you look at like we were talking about the other day, apple juice is actually pretty bad for you, but eating an apple is not. You know, orange juice is like way too much sugar, but eating an orange, you get the fiber with it and that binds and you don't absorb all the sugar. So generally trying to avoid things that are refined out of natural things is kind of like a good food place to start at, you know, like that Whole30 program. There's also like a guy, I think it's chemicalfreebody.com. I'm going to shout that guy out because that's a really good site. And he's got like programs and a whole bunch of stuff. If you can find, like, I'm not saying go buy all this shit, but if you can find podcasts that this guy's been on, his name's Tim James. He breaks down a lot of that really well, like how you need to, like all the stuff, all the bullshit that we've gotten into our bodies that we need to get rid of to get back to a healthy state. It's like, you know, metals, industrial toxins, parasites, overgrown fungus, kind of stepping through these different things to like clean out. I think that's something that everybody should take a look at, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those struggles, right? Because you go to a basic food market or you go shopping. They don't make it easy to shop healthy, right? They don't make it easy to find things and to that point where you're eating actually what it is instead of it being some sort of modified version of it. It's not easy, and they don't really educate us, right? We're not really educated. We're just kind of like, and then get into the fact of, you know, the cost of it. That's another thing, you know, people can't afford to eat healthy sometimes because it's insane to fucking go to the store to buy just organic. Like they fucking mark it up just because it says organic or, you know, this or that.
Subsidies, man. Why is the stuff that has less shit in it more expensive?
Yeah.
Because all the more shit that they add to the other stuff is subsidized. So that, you know, that's what the industry wants.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's as much as it is worth a lot more money than a healthy person.
Totally. So it's kind of like we were talking about with tobacco, where they reconstitute it, they extract like what they want, they add what they want, and then they give that to you. Like milk is the same. Milk isn't milk. Most of it is dehydrated milk that's rehydrated to the percentage, the 2%, whatever that they sell it to you as. It's not liquid milk. They also don't want to ship water weight when they're shipping that around. So they dehydrate the milk. They send the powder to the facility. they reconstitute it, and out comes your 1% and 2% and that kind of thing.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, but a lot of the food system is based on that. It's based on industrially like breaking down and extracting what you want to sell and then putting that on the market. And that's why everybody's dying in a nutshell. That's
most cost efficient way to feed you your poison.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're essentially taking out the nutrients that we need. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. That makes sense because you go into like the cannabis market and everything is all like isolates and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, where's the health in this? Like,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Distillate is a symptom of that. Distillate carts where just extract the best part. I want all that concentrated thing, but it's sort of the wrong mentality.
Yeah. It's like they're squeezing every penny they can out of it. Right. You've got the flower, the plant, and what can we do to make the most value out of this product? Well, we can do this, this, and this. And, if we had just this one product, that means we can't go to this product. So might as well break it up and do all these different, and that obviously goes more than just food, it goes cannabis and pretty much everything in our life. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we were talking about on the other show, like, even bacon. It's hard to find bacon without sugar and a bunch of bullshit in it. Like it's crazy. Everything is like that. Yeah.
Yeah. We found a local, we have a lot of farmland around here and you can get like half cows, whole cows, or, different types of stuff. But that's what we also found too, is you're still paying more money for that. But it's definitely higher quality. You can definitely tell, like when we get a steak from Walmart or a steak even from our local area compared to one that the animal lived 2 towns over and, they took care of it all in house. The quality is definitely always better. So whether it's worth that money or not, I don't know.
Speaking of extracting, I am doing some right now, ironically, making some RSO. Do you guys want to see it? Because I think I can. I think I can do this.
So I'm going to go ahead and tell my RSO story just to get it out of the way. I've only messed with it once. I made some really early on. It was before I really got into listening to y'all's podcast or anything like that, or hearing anybody really talking about it. I just knew, it was a cannabis extract, right? Like you're extracting the oils from the plant. And I didn't treat it as a medicine. And I kind of fucked around with it the first time. I was collecting it and I got everything in syringes and I had just the little mason jar. And I went and I took my finger and I ran it on the inside and then I just ate it. It fucked me up for days to the point where I was like, yep, RSO is the devil. I have no business messing with it. And I got rid of those syringes. And that was the last time I fucked with RSO.
Yeah. I know what you mean. That can definitely happen. It's extremely strong.
Yeah.
I'll just see if I can get this out here. I guess everybody is seeing my kitchen.
Now, what got you what got you down that rabbit hole of making RSO? Because I know you guys talk about it quite frequently, and it's a big part of your life, Paranoid's life. What made you get into it?
So originally,
Black Death.
Yeah, that's some of the residue right there, and you can see it's not running at all. It's super thick. It was. Honestly, I guess I'm not even sure about the first time. I think it was just as I was learning about cannabis, I just came across mention of like Rick Simpson, and I started to look up and learn, the distinction between BHO, because I made BHO for a while, so I was learning about that and what that is and how to do that. And then I was like, oh, this is actually kind of bad, and this thing RSO is much better. So I started learning about just the small parts of the process. And then I did my first batch outside in a crock pot and just evaporated off the alcohol, and then just kind of make sure nothing falls in it, and then go scoop it out. But it was same thing. It was super strong. I was like, oh, this is wild.
Yeah.
So as I progressed into it, I started to realize I was kind of wasting alcohol because I was making a bunch of it. So that's why I got into the reclaim, which is what I do now. So with a distiller. So this is how I soak in these large mason jars.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't put a time period on it. This has been in here for like 6 weeks at least. A long time.
So you're taking all plant material, or like are you doing stems? Are you doing just what are you putting in?
It's a mixture of like larf and sugar leaf, and then trim. And I don't put a lot of stems in here just because it was fucking up my process having the chunks, of trying to get it out. But yeah, everything else pretty much. So all the trim, all the sugar leaf, and then extra larf that I don't feel like trying to bag up or anything like that. And then sometimes I'll take the keef from the trim bin and scrape that up and just dump it right in the alcohol and let that kind of absorb with everything else. So then this is, see if I can show this. My shit is dirty here. This is me draining one of these jars. So it's got a bubble hash bag around the lid, with the mason jar cap. And I've got it. And then in this Pyrex is that alcohol solution. So what I'll do then is I put that into this stainless bowl. And then where's my still? This is the still right here. I'll put a little riser, a little stainless riser, and set that bowl down in here dry. So there's an air gap. Yeah, there's an air gap between this and the bowl of the material. So it's like an ambient heat. And then this all gets sealed up, and then that gets dropped into this, which is, now I need to actually get some new oil, but this is good for one more. This is bulk MCT oil.
Okay.
That I got because I used just vegetable oil for a while, but it was horrible. The fumes in the house and really, really bad. So this just smells like coconut popcorn kind of after a while.
Okay.
But I'll do the still in an oil bath so that I have like 2 layers of protection from the heat. So the oil makes ambient heat around the still, and then the air inside between that and the bowl gives like an ambient heat to the bowl. So it takes like 2 hours to come up to temp.
Shit.
But then I'll run it it's about 10 hours to finish. So, but then I'll run from the sink, this tube here, run cold water into the condenser and then back out into the sink. So I leave that on a trickle with cold water. And then the still basically, as it builds up pressure, the alcohol evaporates out, and I try to recollect it here.
Oh shit!
So that's the whole setup, and then I just
it's
try to
a lot more efficient than just evaporating it off, right? I mean, do you use specific any more like there's like a higher quality type of alcohol that you use, or are you using like Everclear or whatever that is?
I use Extractahol. Yeah, it's a rice grain alcohol. You can get it off extractahol.com. They ship as hazmat, so the shipping is kind of pricey. Yeah. So getting it's about like $120 for a gallon after shipping, which is a little bit more than Everclear. But it's been working well, and I've been reclaiming pretty well. I get like the process of soaking the material, and it's hard. I actually got like a miniature like wine press to try to press out the material, but I found that I didn't get very much. Like if I just leave it upside down and let it drain, for like 15, 20 minutes, you're really getting like 95 or more % of that solution out of there. If you squeeze all that leaf, not very much actually comes out.
Okay.
So I think that also a lot of the alcohol like evaporates in this process. And so over time, I lose, like you don't reclaim 100% and just keep using it. So
out of that gallon, how many times do you think you're able to run that until
like four or 5 times? Yeah.
Yeah. So you get money's worth.
So I invested in a big 5-gallon like jug of it. And I put that out in some different containers, and I've been using that. And so I've still got probably another, 12 runs worth of stuff that I could do. And I've got right now 5 of these big mason jars of solution. So each one of those kind of represents a day of effort. So it's going to be a couple weeks before I kind of get through the rest of it, because you also have to be here all day.
Yeah.
You don't have to stare at it, but you have to be around and kind of look at the temp. Because I also have a gas stove, so it's tricky to keep it. I have to find the right flame level. But I try to keep it like around 200 to 220 on the gauge. That gives enough heat for the alcohol to come off without it taking like 18 hours.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If you were to run it at like, I think alcohol evaporates at like 173. So if you were to run it just at like 175, it would take like 2 days. It would take a long time.
Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the other reasons why I've only made it that one time, when I realized like I'm doing it and I'm like, all right, this is taking a long time. When is this going to wrap up? Because I got other things to do.
Yeah.
It's definitely set your time aside, because that's all you're doing.
It's a little bit like smoking a brisket. Yeah. It's like a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
For me, it's a mindset. I struggle with it because it does take a long time. But my mindset is I don't want to go to Walgreens and buy medication. I can just go ahead and put this 8 hours out of my way, get this thing done, and I'll have medication for a while. So
now, out of that half gallon, how much are you guys getting? How much return do you guys notice?
So I get about 8 from that. I get like 8 cups of the solution, and I don't have this written down, but on average, I'll get like 15 to 20 grams from 8 cups. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So like I can get the full like 60 gram protocol out of about 25 to 30 cups of solution.
Oh shit. And what's your consumption? What you doing daily use?
Yeah, I do off and on. I'll do maybe like 2 rice grains, and I'll just gum it. I just like put it on my finger, put it on my gum, let that soak in. And that's probably like 200 milligrams. Okay. If I had to guess. But I do that pretty regularly, maybe like 3-4 days a week. And then just if I'm having any issues, I know it's a funny subject, but I'll do suppositories.
Sure.
I'll switch to that because that pretty much knocks out like whatever I happen to be experiencing.
So you notice the effects that you're getting and the medicinal value is increased with suppository compared to taking orally?
Yeah, 100%. And you don't get like blown out. Like if I took a full gram, I will be fucking high for like hard to function.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, but that it's within a day that you notice the effects if you're having anything like weird, like, so I get like low blood pressure symptoms and some different things like that, but it like turns it right around. I feel totally normal. It's like it balances out your whole body. Yeah. So I guess I'm in a sort of a somewhat regular of doing that like every week or every couple weeks. I'll do like a gram or 2. Yeah.
And Paranoid, you're pretty active with, I know when I came to visit with you, it was part of your regiment getting ready for bed.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like the 2 grains of rice, pretty much 5 days a week. And then if I do RSO at night, it's got to have CBN in it because I can't do it any other way. But yeah, it works really well. Like, I'm noticing like my recovery time for anything is way quicker. And I feel like a spring chicken most of the time because I don't have hardly any inflammation going on.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I really should look into that and start doing that because I know one of the things that you had mentioned as well the other day was helping your allergies. And I get like the end of the season, the beginning of the season, I always get like so sick. And if I travel or go somewhere else where it's like some pollen that I'm not used to, it fucks me up. So I'd even be interested in just for that fact.
Yeah, you can if you're doing it for like allergies and stuff, like a grain of rice a day, like in the morning, you'll be fine. You can still go to work, and the thing is it's the larger amounts that put you down. So if you do a small amount, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, you can even start with the size of like a buckshot BB, like just a little tiny bit, and then see how it makes you feel. Yeah,
yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like I may be more. I find edibles definitely affect me more. Like if I can eat an edible that say Paranoid eats, it's gonna screw me up a lot more than it would him. Or like I always have a hard time. Like that's why when I got edibles from like dispensaries where I was able to say, okay, this is 5 milligrams. Like I could ride a 5 milligram high, maybe 10 if I was feeling, a little crazy. But anything above that, or like the undosed, like edibles you get from friends, I never know how they're gonna affect me. And so that's why I've always kind of stayed away from ingesting it so much, because I just don't have as much control.
The difference with edibles versus RSO is the sugar content in the edibles, because the sugar is going to also affect your body as well. You're going to go through the spikes and all that stuff. The RSO will not. You're going to have a spike from the RSO. You'll have a peak just like any other kind of type of medication, but you're not going to have the second part of it, which is the sugar. Okay. So yeah, that's something that you have to think about.
No shit. Yeah,
Alabria shortbread.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea.
I hate to rain on parades and stuff, but that is one thing. Like when they push this stuff as medicine, but there's sugar in it. All sugar causes inflammation. So especially refined sugar. And so when you take that, you're taking the thing that fights the inflammation, and you're causing, you're doing fire and water at the same time.
Sure.
So it's sort of pointless as a medicine in that case.
Are you saying that Mary Poppins lied to me my whole life?
Yes. Yes.
Matter of fact,
I am. Mary Poppins was paid by the sugar lobby.
Yeah. I never realized that movie was a propaganda film. Fucking Dick Van Dyke. What the fuck, man?
Dude, you might not be that far off, actually, now that you mention it. It's really funny. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some dealings behind the scenes for that whole meme, the whole spoonful of sugar meme.
Yeah.
It's not, because any medical practitioner worth their salt is going to tell you, do not take a spoonful of sugar. It's bad in every way. Like, don't do that. Like the Chinese will use it as a Trojan horse, but that's very specific. Like if somebody has cancer, they'll give them this herb that's going to kill it with a little bit of like honey, so that this cancer cells, they eat sugar. So they'll try to take that in. They'll take the medicine in, but that's like, it warrants being extremely careful with. Yeah. I hate to down on sugar because everybody eats it, but it's one of our main problems.
Yeah.
For real.
I actually use sugar as a Trojan as well. I just put it in a Milky Way wrapper.
Yeah. Totally, man. Totally.
Oh, Lord.
I was saying, speaking of Keefe, you guys just recently went as well, right?
Yeah.
How the fuck did it go? I know you guys kind of touched on it last time, but didn't hear. You guys didn't really get any details. What did you get into? We want to hear the good details.
Wow. So kind of like we said, we were mostly hanging out in the in the RV. We went into the venue for like 2 hours, I would say, something like that.
Yeah, we weren't there very long. Like not even. I don't even think we celebrated 420 there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
walked around.
Very short. Yeah.
There were a decent handful of vendors. There were the few seed guys that I had shouted out on that show. But there weren't many more than that. There was a lot of like gummies, edibles, and then a few crafty things. Like I was hoping for more like hemp clothing or I don't know, stuff like that. They didn't really have it. It was weird. It was a weird event, but it's also like not entirely my scene. It was kind of like it's like a lot of new hip hop, which is just not really my bag. So like a lot of the shows were like the super loud, and it was different types of hip hop and stuff. And it was just like, okay. But yeah, like the hang was way cool. Like we got to try each other's flower. We traded some seeds. We got to talk stories and stuff like that. It was awesome.
Oh yeah. Now, is that the same venue as the last one you guys went to, or they changed it?
No,
they should have stuck with the Peoria location, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah,
for parking, for attendance, like all that stuff. Like it was better laid out. This place was very crammed.
Really?
Yeah, it was at Molly's Joint in Tilton, Illinois. And even like getting directions to the place, it doesn't even give you the directions into the entrance of the parking lot. It gives you directions to the street. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, how do you get in there? Like I see Rudy's RV in the parking lot, but I don't even know how to get in there. And so like I had to like basically just drive around to figure it out myself. So yeah, I think they should have just picked a better location, like something bigger. I think it was the music for sure. Cause like Keefe and Peoria, they had a mixture of all kinds of music. So it was really cool. Like you were dealing with like some metal and there was a little bit of punk, and then there was some DJs, and it was a mixture. It was great. Like that was an awesome lineup. But this time around, it was all hip hop, all rap. So it was like I can understand Rudy's concern because I prefer having that wide genre of music to enjoy to listen to, especially when you're walking around looking at vendors.
And it was really close. Everything was really close to the stage. Where last year their venue was bigger. It was like it was like a park basically that was sort of walled off that you could go into, but it was a much larger area. So the vendors were away from the stage, so you could walk around in some level of sort of peace. But this place, the music was obviously super loud. So that was just kind of like agitating, I guess. And then the food trucks, poor Birdie, shout out Birdie from the Discord. He and his girlfriend waited in line for like a half hour before they bailed. So nobody ended up actually hitting up the food trucks there. But we did make our own dinner, which was much better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's always the best thing about going to these events is just hanging out with everybody. The events are cool, but it's hanging out with the crew.
Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say that, Rudy and I have been to Hash Bash a couple times, and it's always the hang at the house. It's always been way better than just going to the event itself. I mean, going to the event's fun, especially going with your friends, but the hang out at the house or the RV, whatever we're doing, it's way better. Speaking of which, Rudy, you and I need to convince these two fellas here to come to Hash Bash next year.
I really want to go. I really, really want to go. It's always just so hard with like the time that I can pull off of work, but I'm really going to do my best to be next year for sure.
Yeah. Traveling is hard. I mean, it's hard to get the time and, set everything up. Yeah, totally. It's awesome though.
I will drag nerd next year though.
The market at Hash Bash is like the wild. That's kind of like, it's almost like going to Vegas. It's just like an onslaught.
Yeah.
It's just this one room. It's filled up with like, I don't know, 10 or a dozen, maybe long tables, with all vendors at them, and just turkey bags and just 5, huge bags of flour, of this commercial grown flour. And everybody's walking around grabbing a handful, smelling it, throwing it back in the bag. Like it's just an interesting, crazy place to be. And then because mushrooms are decriminalized in that county, there's a lot of those floating around. And so you'll see a guy with like one of those big mason jars, like clutching it, like walking around it. The whole thing is a trip. But then this hotel, I don't know what arrangement they have with the hotel, but everybody smokes at will in the hotel. And so the whole place is like this haze. So you can't really see more than, sometimes it is actually kind of hard to see the other side of the room. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I saw was why. I mean, just a cloud of smoke over the whole fucking joint.
Yeah. Yeah, they must be like tied in with the owners or something, because they just disrespect this building. Like everybody covered up all the smoke detectors with plastic and tape, and
oh shit,
people are dropping blunts on the floor, and yeah. And then the dab kids are fun to see. They're like carrying around their little puffcos and stuff, where like we'll find a place and set up, and all of a sudden there's Q-tips everywhere, and there's little bottles of ice. So
leaving their Q-tips everywhere.
Yeah. Cans of butane.
Yeah, I'll say that 2023 it was butane. There was a lot of butane, and I noticed that the drop off over the last 2 years, where it's more people carrying their Puffco and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Once those came out, you're not really setting up a dab rig just for fun at a place like that. But yeah, it's a crazy experience. It was a lot of fun. And then the old Hash Bash, which is on the University of Michigan campus, that's like the original one. The place we're talking about is the Cup, which is at this hotel at the same time. So the original Hash Bash now is mostly like commercial company tents, but there are a lot of like little crafty vendors and then a lot of people that are just like medical growers or whatever. So you can actually find some interesting flower there at the outdoor spot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I got some Jack Harer from this little old lady. She was like, yeah, she just had a few different types on a little card table, you know.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they do they have that leaf blower that you might have seen pictures of that, but with concentrates, they're blowing out smoke.
Oh, shit.
That was insane. I couldn't stand like within the edge of that circle. It was too much. I was coughing just from being in the radius.
You imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine. Well, nerd, that's when I head out that way next year, I'm passing right by you. I'm going to pick your ass up. We're going.
Hmm.
All right, I guess so. I guess you can talk about it.
In my arm.
Oh. So to do a little housekeeping, we still have the giveaway going on. Paranoid, what's the closure date on that? I think it's a bunch of repeating numbers.
It is 5/25/25 at 5:25 p.m. Eastern time.
There you go. You have it. And that is for the Crafted Origins box set from BGG.
Hell yeah.
I got the very nice one I actually got right here. Oh, look at that.
It's invisible.
The green paint on it.
What the heck is going on? Wow.
I just went to another dimension. That was insane. David Bowie was there for some reason.
Yeah, but BGG and his wife did a fucking killer job on that box set that you got, dude. Like they hand painted all that and did quite the little setup for you.
Hell yeah, I love it. It's my new seed vault now. So this morning I went and got a bunch of little baggies. I got more refills for my label maker, and I'm just labeling all my seeds and putting them in there.
Oh yeah, it's a nice little seed vault.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm super jealous, not gonna lie.
My other seed vault is getting pretty beat up, so it's time.
Well, cool, man. One of the other housekeeping things that we have is the shirt drop. Just released a shirt a handful of shirts a couple days ago.
I think 8 shirts total, I believe, is the Grateful Nerd Collective summer collection. Yep. So a lot of summer and like beach inspired shirts having to do with growing cannabis, our podcast, a whole bunch of other stuff.
I think the organic one is one of my favorites. That's the one that I need to get my hands on for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I ended up ordering the cruise shirt and the stack shirt. It was the red shirt.
Yeah.
The red shirt stack one.
Nice.
Yep.
Good choice on the color.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I think that this whole like y'all come out with these shirt ideas and stuff. I think that's great. Like,
I used to do it every week.
Yeah.
And I stopped for a while.
Right.
That's what I've always enjoyed about Nerdy. He's always had his hands kind of all over the place and those shirts, and they're fun for the community gets to.
He's saying I'm handsy.
He's very handsy. But it's cool. And then you see the homies out, wearing the shirt, and they're a lot of fun. And Nerd did a great job on them, so I'm super excited for this summer drop. I think this will be something that we're going to do going forward for other things as well. So definitely keep your eye out for more shirts.
Yeah, definitely want to make a set of Halloween shirts. Yeah. So for each of the designs, you can get the shirt, sticker, a magnet, or a reusable shopping bag.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then we also had some videos come out this week. Grateful did a garden update and a how to defoliate gardening guide.
Yeah, trying to keep up with my garden. Sometimes I get overwhelmed, and especially with this past with the summer coming up and getting pulled this way or that way, I tend to get overwhelmed. So it was good to finally make another one and kind of show all the progress on some of these plants. And the defoliation video was fun, man, because it's not something that I honestly normally do. I tend to be very lazy on defoliation, and only do it when really needed. And I found with these, growing now back into tents, space is definitely limited. So just figured I'd share at least how I defoliate my stuff. So it was cool. But I think that's it. I think that was the only ones we put out, right?
Yeah, and then obviously all the Cooter sponsorship videos.
Yeah.
We have a whole bunch more of those coming. We're under pretty big contract, pretty lengthy contract.
It's good, man. It's good.
It's good. It's getting stanky up in here.
Oh man.
God, yeah, we're gonna have to. Hopefully, he is putting our contract money towards orthodontia.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. He could spend it on whatever organic inputs, but fix that grill up.
Right. Exactly.
Oh. Yeah, I look forward. We need to get a official sponsored T-shirt there with Cooter on the shirt. So got to get that in the works.
Hell yeah. I like that.
Those coming.
I like that, huh? Yep.
I see a real brand coming.
Real brand.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all read the comments, but it looks like it's already triggered some people.
Oh yeah, everybody that Nerd and I were just talking about that. Everybody's so smart on the internet. It was
so funny.
Do you have it pulled up, Paranoid, where you could see what he said?
No, I don't have it pulled up, but I read him this morning and I was like, this guy really think this person's real? Like this is a real thing? Like,
I did not realize this is a fucking joke.
Yeah,
Kidding.
They said if your compost still smells bad, then it's not ready to be used in your garden, as if it wasn't like a satire video or parody video.
right.
Funny.
It's 100% satire.
That's funny. What are you excited about growing right now? Anything coming up that you're stoked about?
Just in general, or are we okay?
Or I mean, I guess what's coming next? Like you mentioned, you were on the crosses that you made, but are you still just growing those right now? Just kind of running through that stock?
So I've grown a few of the 91 crosses that I've done. And my intentions are I need to start working the mandala effect. So I crossed the 91 grapefruit to the mandala effect. And I had three moms, 3 different phenos, and trying to figure out which exactly one I want, which one I want to work forward. So I'm really excited for that. Once these tangy rainbows come out of the tent, that's what I'm doing. I've got a bunch of 1 gallon nursery pots, and I'm going to see how many I can fit on 2 tray to grows. And we're just going to let her rip and kind of look through what's going in there. So yeah, that I'm really excited about, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah. What about you? Anything exciting coming up?
These crosses that I was talking about, we got 6 raspberry stomper crosses and 5 jet fuel photoperiod crosses.
Okay.
So running those. And then last year, a buddy of mine helped me find in these, I'd run a bunch of red line from iRead Genetics. And we found one that has this super like sort of chemi sour edge to it. So I've got 2 of those vegged out pretty well right now. I'm going to run those next too. I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of a pheno hunt.
Yeah.
Trying to find some kind of key clones that I want to keep. I'm about to flower out some of the moms that I have and sort of restart. There's only a few. There's like 3 plants that I want to keep, but I have like a bunch of different stuff in veg right now. So I'm just going to finish that out and then start a bunch of new seeds.
Okay.
So I got this. One is a triple cherry pie from Goat Genetics. That one has a photo period. I'm really excited to check out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm glad that you're talking about that, because I've never personally cloned a plant. do you have what is your SOP on cloning? So I need some tips.
Right on. Yeah, I learned, like, I was really failing at it a couple of years ago. And one of the main issues I had, well, it was heat and light level. I didn't have enough heat and I had too much light.
Okay.
So they really need they need kind of a warm environment, but with a lower amount of light to go. And since then, I've gone to just using the domes, the clone domes, with seedling trays with the little peat moss cubes, root riot peat cubes, you know, or they're not cubes, they're more like plugs. And then I use FOOP cloning gel.
Okay.
That has been working really well. So yeah, I just make sure I have everything clean. Usually we'll wear nitrile gloves, and then I have a box of X-Acto blades, so I get some clean blades out. And I just use this. I don't like do a new blade for every cut or anything like that. I just keep like a little thing of ISO that you can kind of dip it in. So I'll do that though, and like clean it between every cut, and then try to clean them up. And then I put them into a solution of Microbe Life Hydro root dip.
Okay.
They have this stuff. It's like a black humic fulvic kind of concentrate that's like a tablespoon to a gallon. So I'll make a gallon of that and then just put some of that in a cup. So they all go into that right away. So they start pulling that up first, and then into the FOOP gel, and then into the plugs. And then I mist the inside of the dome with chlorine dioxide, which is like a form of bleach that you can get. It's basically like not harmful to plant tissue. So it helps to sterilize the inside of the dome. And then I basically just let that run for about 2 weeks. I know people do all sorts of like opening the vents kind of each day. But for me, as far as like ease and not having it go wrong, I find if I just leave it shut and I set my timer for 2 weeks, when I go back, most of them are going to have roots and I can pull them out and go from there. The times that I've tried to gradually open the vents, I'll dry them out too fast or I'll fuck it up somehow. So this has been working for me so far.
And there's no kind of like air circulation in there. It's pretty much just stagnant at that point, right?
But I do make sure to clean it really well, and I use that spray to kind of sterilize. You could also do like a peroxide, solution or something like that to sort of sterilize the inside of the dome before you put it on. Okay. And I have had cases where, I also dip the cuttings. Like I'll have like Lost Coast, like plant therapy. Make a solution of that in a cup. And so then I cut them, dip them, and then into the other cup, and then from there into the plugs. So, because I have had in the past where I've had mold come up on a cut that I didn't dip, or if I didn't clean them well enough. So
what step has the, where you roll it in breadcrumbs?
That's the fourth step.
The fourth step. So it's like dip, flour, root wise, breadcrumbs.
Yep. Egg.
Yeah, I get
it. So I know people have all different methods, but lately this has been working for me. So it's the main things you want to worry about are be as clean as possible.
That's definitely what I'm hearing. Yeah.
And then make sure that you work quick so that when you make the cut, they go into the water, because you can get air bubbles in the stems.
Oh, no,
if you hold them up and kind of mess around with them before putting them in the water, they can get problems that way. So it's like usually, when you take a cut, you'll have a bunch of nodes on the bottom that you want to clean off. So I'll just try to do that quickly. So I'll cut it and then take my blade and like trip the nodes off and then right into the water, basically. Okay. Yeah.
I know I've heard people saying like you could do like, say, like aloe, like fresh aloe, or I feel like I've heard someone say honey before. You ever heard of that?
I have heard of that. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of different things will work. The plant wants to root. Like it wants to keep going. It just kind of needs a little boost. It needs some nutrients. It needs the consistent moisture. So there's a lot of different things that work for that. I've used aloe and it has worked. And you can even do you can take an aloe leaf and stick the cutting in there and put it in a plastic bag and put it in the fridge, and then take it out of the fridge and kind of keep it in a warm space. But the fridge, I think it's an overnight thing. This is not gospel. I just remember reading about this. But if you fridge it overnight, that it will kind of reset it. And then if you take it out, it'll have more success at rooting after that.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But I just brought some clones back that I got from Back Nine Bandit that were in a baggie. You know, they were in Root Riot cubes in a little Ziploc baggie, and they did fine. One of them got a little mold on it, but the other two were fine.
Now, what do you do if something gets mold on it like that? Is there any way to treat it, or you're pretty much just like cut my losses?
I just let it
gone?
go.
Yeah.
Personally, I let it go. Some people might try to treat it, but that stuff is pernicious. When you get fungus around, like it hangs on. It's hard to treat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try it soon. I'm definitely gonna give it a try.
Yeah. Definitely take, you don't have to overdo it, but if you're just cloning one plant, I would say take like 5 clones, so that way you can you'll get different success rates and different, like your cut will end up being better or worse depending on the original cut that you take, if that makes sense. Like if you start with like a weak lower branch that doesn't have much vigor to it, it's going to take you much longer to get back to the plant you want
than taking like a top.
Well, not a top, but like you actually want to take a lower, but you want like one with a slightly green stem, not as woody. So maybe like halfway up where there's a little bit more green than the woody stuff that's at the bottom.
Okay.
But you want to take one, that's long enough, I would say anywhere from 6 to 10 inches, that has like a good amount of vigor and some good top leaves on it. Because then your plant that comes from that will be much better, quicker, basically, Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And then some people say to snip the leaves or not.
I've seen that where they cut around them and make it all. What's up with that?
That's to drive their energy because they stop absorbing nutrients, if I remember right, God damn it, I forget exactly how this goes. But it's to drive the energy to the root development. Okay. So that they don't try to do photosynthesis as much with the leaves and they'll focus more on the roots. I think that's the idea.
Sure.
I also had one guy tell me, a buddy told me once that like, you don't have to cut all the leaves around it, but just the growth tip, those little shoots that are coming up at a very tippy top, you just snip that. And he said that will be enough to like make it focus more on the roots.
So we're basically like, we're topping the cutting.
Sort of, yeah. Or more like fimming where you're just taking the tip of the leaves, like, yeah. But I've done different ways like that, and not trimming them works out fine too, seems like. Just depends on what you want to do. Yeah.
Cool. I'll be fucking around with it soon, man.
Awesome.
Excited.
Awesome.
Excited.
Yeah, we need some cuts of those BBOJs, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's crushing out there. It is loving life. I was nervous. I was like, I don't know. Cause it is outside. I don't know if it'll make it or anything. So I've tried to disconnect myself slightly from them as like, not get too excited. But I figured those would also be perfect plants for me to do my first, like try a clone, see how it goes. And, I've got a whole pack of them. So who knows if I really enjoy it, start hunting them and get a cut.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. Like recently I just, for the first time for me, I took a bunch of clones and did my whole room with the jet fuel badger cut. So I did 12 of those from clone at the same time. And it was a lot of fun to see, like they're the exact same plant. Yeah. Some of them are bigger or smaller depending on how you do the veg, but if you focus on it, it's fun to get like a consistent canopy of the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I've just, my whole growing time has just been complete chaos. It's been, you know what I mean? Like, growing in the earth boxes in an open room and each box being a completely different plant, right? I mean, you just there's only so much that you can control because each plant's going to do its own thing. Some of them are growing way taller than others. So we're getting better light than others. And, but yeah, I think I could see that being really cool just to walk in and just see that room as one plant would see that being really cool.
Yeah. I would suggest doing it, with a strain that you like. When you come across something you really like, where you're like, I want a lot of this, then, then pursue that. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing worse than getting a whole room growing.
Yeah.
This flower fucking sucks.
Yeah.
What did I waste? I just wasted how many months?
I have one, I don't know how many of you guys got the tangy photo from Alabreeze. Alabry last drop. But
I ended up getting it, but I ended up Johnny's doing a big hunt on them. So
nice, cool. Cool. I'll have to connect with Johnny because so I flowered one that I fucked up the size, but it got good flower. It was just small. But that stuff was like the best sativa I've had in a long time. Like I actually did clean my house. Like I got super motivated and like started picking stuff up and I was like, ooh. So I've got another one in the flower room right now from those seeds that I got. And I'm hoping it's the same, thing. If it is, I'm going to try to re-veg that.
Yeah, that's definitely more my speed of weed. I am a laid back person, so I already tend to be a little bit lazy. So when I get stuff that's going to put me down in the dirt, I'm like, I try to try to save it for certain times of the day.
Yeah,
the narrow leaf is definitely something I'd rather be messing with.
Yeah, that tangy photo is one of the better ones I've had. Also, Malawi Gold. I had some Malawi Gold once years ago, and that was also like that. It was super giggly and super energetic. I'd like to find that again. Yeah.
That's what I find, at least for the Mandala effect, and that's why I had decided that I wanted to do work on it. It's one of those strains that I can smoke it all day. It gets me giggly. It definitely helps with my depression. It doesn't get me too over anxious. Unless I definitely like over consume it, but yeah, that's the Mandala effect for me. So
nice, cool, very cool. On terps right now, I'm really excited about this electric blueberry from 808 Genetics. I've got one of those in the flower room that's just about done, and it's like what you would imagine electric blueberry. It's like a blueberry, but it's really sharp. And almost like terpinolene kind of mixed into it. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What are you giggling about over there, nerd? You on that giggly weed too?
Probably. I don't know.
But yeah, man, that's just crossing things and growing them. So I'm into my own stuff right now. And then a couple of tent projects coming up this year. Paranoid was kind enough to send me off with a blueberry muffin from Humboldt.
Okay.
That I've been thinking about, kind of wanting for a while. So they're regs. So I'm going to do a mini hunt and an increase. I'm going to try to find, like one or two good females and make more of those seeds.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's one thing back in the day for me as I used to have this blueberry but we used to have the blueberry locally that was really, really like wild blueberry bush. It tasted like it smelled like it, everything was awesome. So I'd like to find something similar to that. And I know there's a bunch of blueberry types that are out right now, like Riot Seeds has his, and there's this blueberry muffin, and then, whatever else, there's a bunch of blues all over the place. So I just haven't had a chance to like hunt them yet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, blueberry is also one of those things. I wasn't a big smoker back in high school, but I remember hanging out with friends, and that was kind of some of the stuff that would be coming around, and like that was, I think, my first time where I smelled I can actually, like, it all smelled like weed to me, right? But like where I could actually tell, like, oh, this smells just a little bit different, and that had to be like early 2000, 2005, and I was like, oh shit. So to me, that kind of isn't what sparked my, I'm going to try to hunt a blueberry line into a photo to auto, but like, it's kind of one of my earlier memories that I definitely do have with cannabis. So
nice.
I enjoy the blueberry terps for sure.
Same here. And you're in the Northeast?
Yes.
Ish.
Yep.
I think, I don't know how many people could corroborate this, but just from people that I've listened to and talked to, I think the blueberry comes from like Canada originally.
Shit.
Yeah. Cause there's AK Bean Brains talks about, he used to have sativa blueberry that they grew outdoor in Alaska. And I've heard other people talk about, Canadian blueberry. And so where I'm basically on the northern border. And, in the late 90s, early 2000s, everything here was blueberry. DJ Short, if I'm not mistaken, found his cut of blueberry that he started with in Michigan, in northern Michigan.
Oh, no shit.
He was around, years ago when he was traveling and stuff. But yeah, I just have this general picture in my head where I think that line and those blueberry terps kind of came down from Canada and people picked them up, and then that's where it kind of expanded from there. And I wonder if it's because blueberry is one of the most prevalent wild plants in the northern regions. It's pretty much everywhere.
Shit. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's interesting. Like that. This is kind of like the story that I've heard about the like strawberry cough, right? I know that's kind of there's a big I don't know much about it, but from my understanding, I know there's a lot of people that are in the Connecticut area that say that strawberry the strawberry cough is from this area, and it was either taken or whatever it was by I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head right now, but the guy that kind of made that famous. And wasn't there some sort of thing where they said, yeah, it was growing in a field of strawberries, and they say that may have influenced something or other. So
cool.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, totally.
Kyle Cushman. That's who it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Right on. I still do the Cushman chiropractic. Do that?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I see. I never. It's funny because I started doing that, and I never knew what it was called, but yeah, just popping it and just letting it just hang over a little bit, and it works well.
Or just a slight, not even with a hang. If you feel it out and you just twist it like you're a chiropractor, it'll go pop.
Okay.
And that little pop is like enough to create some scarring on the inside that'll create that kind of like nutrient superhighway. That's the allegation. I'm not a biologist.
Oh no shit.
I don't know, but yeah,
I didn't know. Huh.
Yeah. So that's what Cushman's method is like in veg. Before you're going to flip into flower, you go up the thicker parts of the main stalks and just do a little pop, 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 kind of all the way up. And that kind of helps them be like stronger as they grow into flower. Yeah. Yeah. Seems to work. I do it. They haven't reacted negatively to that.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the training too. Like sometimes it's a necessity. Like my current room, I had this one breakfast haze from Waffle House Genetics that grew like a haze, and it went, whoa,
Yeah.
So a lot of the branches were getting close to the lights, and I had to just bend them over and like put them onto the netting. So I have netting set out. So I just gonna let them flop and finish that way.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, back to my room just being chaos. I rarely ever do any training other than just kind of bending those tops over and
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. I do want to try one of these days. Get shout out to Renaissance Mike. He actually sent me a thing that he designed to go onto earth boxes. So, with the new moon covers, a lot of people, what they would do is put the like poles or bamboo sticks and kind of build a scrog net, but he didn't want to damage his cover. So he's like, I got to think of a way to make like a little like box around it. And he came up with this awesome design. I need to get it down in my room, but I'm excited for it. It's got like this little tray on the bottom and you can still use your wheels. But then it's like 1 inch or like ½ inch PVC fittings. So you could basically just build up this modular, however many levels you want, however close you want it. So I'm really excited to give that a try and
that's cool.
Trying to plan it. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome.
I always love seeing people get crowd, the necessity. What is it? Invention is the mother of necessity, right?
Yeah.
Saying is. So people are just coming up with all these crazy ideas, and I love seeing it, especially being able to be utilized in your garden. It's fun, the stuff people think of.
Yeah, totally.
So I think I'm gonna run to Home Depot later and get some PVC and try to make like a two-story scrog for the 4x4.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Nice.
What's your plan? Are you going to build a frame from it standing up on the ground? Or are you going to try to have it on the tent pole so it's floating up? What's your plan of attacks?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to make legs for it. I already have a bunch of the pieces from the last one I made. I just need a few extra pieces.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So Grateful is bringing soil over for me so I can start a new run.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
So I'm excited. I haven't decided if I'm going to try photos or I kind of want to get rid of a lot of my seeds. So I was like, what if I just do like 21 gallons or something like that and then just scrog all of them?
That'd be fun.
Sure.
Are y'all having a sleepover?
We are.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. Actually.
We're going to see Coheed and Mastodon.
Yep.
For real?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god, dude! I'm so jealous. Holy crap!
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. Y'all seeing them? When are y'all seeing them?
Monday night.
Monday night. Sweet. That's awesome, dude. I love Mastodon and Coheed. I've seen both of them in concert.
They're fun.
They are.
I've seen them together before as well with Every Time I Die. That was like a couple summers ago.
Oh, okay.
Shit.
Dude.
Yeah. We
the opening band is Periphery.
For real? Oh my god! I was just talking to Blackwater about that the other day. Talking about
Yep.
Periphery. Oh my god, dude! I'm so jealous. Is the concert sold out? I might fly up there.
we'll put you in a backpack, dude. We'll get you in. You get up here. We're gonna get you in.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I think there's like 6 of us going total, so we bought like almost the whole row of seats in the balcony.
It's a really
Cool.
nice venue too. We saw Coheed there last year, actually. Coheed and Primus. So we were out.
Yeah, that was fun.
Out on the lawn. But it'll be cool to be like down in there. It's like an amphitheater that has some of, it's got a good like overhang that comes back a ways. So there is seats and stuff that you can get in there. But I think we're gonna have definitely a better view this time around.
Nice.
It should be good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Looks like it's gonna be nice out.
Hell yeah. Fucking better be. But yeah, so we got that, and then November, I'm finally I'm dragging him out to a Billy String show. So super stoked about that.
Nice.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, I didn't look into the venue to see exactly how it's. Have you ever been to that one?
It's at MVP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like an arena where they do like hockey games and stuff like that.
Cool.
Concerts.
Arena Bluegrass. Nothing makes me happier.
That's where that's why I've gone there a few times for concerts.
Okay.
Who did I see? When I was little, I saw, not little, but maybe like 13, I saw Good Charlotte there.
There you go.
Cool.
Nice.
You got any cool concerts or anything you got coming up, Rudy, that you're looking forward to?
I haven't. Haven't been focused on going to shows for a while. I used to go a lot. I played in a few different bands, and I used to live in Columbus, Ohio, and I went to a lot of shows there. But yeah, I haven't recently, and I don't have anything really coming up. We have a little summer music festival around here that's pretty fun that I'll probably go to this year to check out. And it's mostly like Michigan bands that come up to play. But yeah, I haven't been to a big show in quite a while. Buddy of mine and I and his son went to see Iron Maiden a few years ago. And that sounded fucking crazy. That was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I've been to, I like going to stand-up comedy. So I've been trying to catch either Jimmy Dore or Sam Tripoli on one of their tours coming through the Midwest. So I'll probably keep looking for an opportunity like that. And I missed some friends went to see Doug Stanhope like 2 years ago. He played in Detroit, and I missed that one. And I was like, but he's awesome. I don't know if you've ever seen Doug Stanhope.
No, I don't think so.
He's a great stand-up.
I haven't
Very
seen
good.
him live, but I've watched his specials.
Nice. Yeah. So
I've seen Bill Burr a couple times, and I've seen Tom Segura a couple times.
Okay.
cool.
I saw Patton Oswalt once. Oh, I saw Piff the Magic Dragon. Is that his name? Saw him. So he's a stand-up comic that wears a big dragon onesie, and he can also do like little magic tricks while he's talking.
Oh shit!
Well, like while he's doing a stand-up routine. It's pretty funny.
That's funny. You know, I don't think I've ever.
Nice.
Yeah, that's Bert Kreischer. That's the only stand-up comedy that, or no, and improv.
Bernd Chrysler.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Bernd Chrysler. Totally. I got to spend some time. So for work, for a while, I went back and forth to Los Angeles. So I got to go to the Comedy Store a couple of times, and that was wild. It was
That's
amazing.
Cool.
See it line up. This like 16 top, A-list comics that are all doing 15 minutes, and it's the whole evening.
Damn,
it's pretty wild. But the one that hit me the hardest, like, no shade, I'm not a huge fan of his podcast, but Mark Maron, like his stand-up had me almost falling out of my chair. It was incredible. It was so funny. Yeah. And then Joey Diaz was another one who had the room just rolling. He was just spitting and doing his thing, and just people were rolling. Yeah. I got to go to a couple of shows there right pre-COVID in 2019, like right before it popped off. So it was at when they had the Kobe Bryant Memorial in LA. And the city had like an extra like 5 million people in it. It was crazy. And that was when we went and saw Joey Diaz, and the room was like elbow to elbow, like packed in.
Yeah.
And then it was like a week later, like the whole COVID thing started.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I remember coming back home like through the airports, and there were like a few people here and there that had masks on, and they were like this Chinese flu maybe kind of deal. And then I got home and it was lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit. I remember I was actually traveling I was coming back home from Wisconsin, and I remember we were in the airport, and it was all of a sudden all the fucking the TV screens turned to Trump officially announcing like, this is it. It's done. We're locking shit down. Like, what the fuck is going on now?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a wild time.
Yep.
Yeah. That was when I started growing. Honestly, well, in earnest, I had grown a tent in the basement in 2019 before any of that. That was technically like my first personal grow, aside from some random shit when I was younger. But, and then, yeah, when we got locked down, then I, like a lot of other people, ordered tents, ordered equipment, and started doing it.
Everybody started growing then.
Yeah, hobby. A lot of people started making content then as well. That's also why you've seen like a lot of podcasts and stuff fall off.
Sure.
Like once life starts to kick back in, you're like, oh yeah. Or you saw a lot of people like getting pets. Like wasn't that a big thing, abandoning pets after lockdown was over?
That's a bummer. Yeah, I could see that.
Oh, one of the other things I want to talk. I know it's a hot topic within the community. You've got the East Coast, West Coast. Is there a central? Is it a central coast, or are you just the Midwest?
I'm glad you brought this up. That's hilarious. The Central Coast thing cracks me up, like, because we got the Great Lakes, sure, but it's not, fine. But to me, it's not the Midwest. It should be called the Middle East. That's the funniest thing to me. It's what it should be called regionally.
That's what I said.
That's what we were just talking about this yesterday, actually, a Discord chat. So that is it. It is now officially the Middle East.
America's Middle East. Yep.
That's fucking great.
Yep. Because the Midwest should be like New Mexico.
I can see that.
Like maybe Oklahoma.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I'm glad I know where you stand now, sir. Thank you. Good answer to the question.
Where I live, we're basically just Canada. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
A bunch of A's.
Yeah.
It's so funny because my wife is from like far upstate New York, and she definitely has some of that. Some of her accent is, you're like, where are you from? You sure you're not Canadian?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
Yeah, I can fall into it because I grew up here. But like, yeah, it's a funny thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lots of funny different dialects that come when you get closer to the border up there.
Like sauna, that's something that I should point out while we're on. Like everybody says sauna, but it's a Finnish word. It's pronounced sauna. Yeah, sauna. Because the Finns, they pronounce their vowels like A and U or A-U. So sauna.
Huh.
But yeah, if the Americanized pronunciation of it is sauna. But when I hear people say sauna, I'm like, no. But yeah, it's the local dialect kind of sounds like, I don't know, you guys want to go take a sauna or what? Getting cold out there. Yep. A lot of out there, this, that, and then when like, store clerks say thank you, it's thank you. It's kind of like, it's a weird, like lilting. It's funny. It's inherited from the Finns.
Oh, shit.
That we're here. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we have like Finnish and Cornish and French that were all copper miners back in the day. That's where the whole area is.
Oh, shit.
So I live in a valley that people colloquially call Frog Valley because it was all French back in the day. So, mm-hmm.
Okay. It's funny actually. Now you mentioned that you have something to Frog Valley, the area that I live in. I don't know the whole story, but we have frogs around our town. There's lots of statues or businesses some way incorporate the frog into their logos. And the basic story was back in the colony times, they were worried they were going to be invaded by the British, or someone was going to come in and invade the town. And there was this one night where this overwhelming sound took over the town, basically. And they thought that they were being overrun by the enemy. And it ended up being that they sent some scouts out, and it ended up being an overgrowth of bullfrogs in this certain lake that's right nearby us. And so it's always stuck that this town freaked out because, they're contacted, they're warning everybody that something's going to happen. And it ends up being that they got scared by a bunch of frogs. So.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's funny, dude.
Funny stories.
You guys ever heard of the emu wars of Australia?
No.
Yeah. There was a time where like when they were, settling into Australia. I don't know when this was, but if you look up emu wars, you'll find it, where the Australian military was actually trying, because emus are aggressive. They were trying to like control these birds, but they're also smart. And they figured out that if they moved into the towns, that this military wouldn't shoot at the birds because they were in with the civilians. So a large portion of the emus like moved themselves into towns and were walking around in the buildings and going into people's houses and stuff. And then it took them like 2 years to get control over this bird population so that they could build and then settle more. So it's kind of a sad story, but also hilarious. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Could you imagine that living in your town and just get overrun by emus?
Yeah. Like 6-foot birds.
I'm kind of curious is that how Sesame Street came about, was the whole emu wars.
Maybe.
What about I know music. I think I've heard you talk about your style of music that you really like. You like folk punk or folk kind of folky stuff.
Mm-hmm,
what are you listening to these days?
Not a lot. Like specifically, sometimes I fall into podcasts for like months and I don't listen to a ton of music, which may sound odd, but so I like I like gypsy, like folk stuff that has a beat and a speed to it, kind of like stuff that punk and bluegrass might have or come from. Sure. You have like the old Roma gypsy music and then bluegrass and like those influences of like the fast, kind of complex chords and stuff. Yeah, I like that a lot. There's a French band called Les Ogres de Barbac. It's the Ogres of Barbac. So if you look up Les, like LES, Ogres, OGRES, and then Barbac, BARBACK. They're a French band, so it's all in French, but they're fucking great. I love listening to those guys.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then there's an older musician who used to have a punk band in Spain called Mano Negra, and his name is Manu Chao, Manuchao.
Okay.
He's got a lot of great stuff that I really like, and he's got a cool story. He used to tour around the ports of Spain. They had a boat that they lived on, and they would pull into a port and like put on a show, and then go to the next one. And yeah,
that sounds like the life to live, dude. Like
no kidding.
That. I could live like that.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
But yeah, I like a lot of that. Like, I guess if I were to just put a broader term on it, I like gypsy music. I like kind of fast stuff like that. Yeah. And then a lot of like early bluegrass that's like that has that influence. So when I played music, I played in a couple of punk bands in my 20s. Yeah. We never went anywhere, just playing shows and stuff.
It was fun to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I also really like funk a lot. I find myself listening to a lot of Parliament, things like that, like just kind of classic funk. I get into that. Yeah.
We were listening to some funk in Rudy's RV at Keefy Canada Fest in the parking lot.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. No, some of the early, like, I started playing bass at a young age. And of course, there's hearing that the way that they play would always intrigue me. So my dad had got me some different CDs, and one of the CDs that kind of got me into like that little bit of that funk was Bootsy Collins, and I listened to some of his stuff, and that was really fun. And I mean, Victor Wooten, I mean, he's definitely got a funky side to him. So I always enjoyed that kind of listening to the bass and like what they got going on in those funk songs, because they're always a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a great Parliament song from like a stoner perspective called "Something Stank and I Want Some." If you look that up, it's pretty good. Something smell like a skunk and I want some.
Sounds like something Cooter would be into. I bet you Cooter's
His
playlist.
The stankiest playlist on Spotify.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I do want to say something though. Like Rudy, I think you would be interested in the Muddy Roots Music Festival. That we've been talking like, the types of music that you like is they play that type of music there, and it's free camping. So nice. It's you just pay for the ticket for the concert, and then you have to bring your own stuff. But
yeah, it's cool. Nice.
This is our goal as the crew is to try to convince as many people as possible to come to Muddy Roots. So
yeah, and it's Tennessee, and you'll deal with it. You'll feel the walking in the bowl of soup, like I've said before. And then there's waterfalls there too, so you can go to the waterfalls.
Nice.
It's the best setup, dude. It's really, even if it's not all the music that you like, man, just the vibes and the way that they have it set up. It's just such a cool spot, man. Such a cool spot.
Cool. Right on. Yeah. I used to go to Reggae on the River when I lived in Columbus. They had one of those that they would put on there.
Oh, there you go.
That was good. I don't know if that's Columbus only. I think they do it all over the place, but
I think I've heard of them being out in California too.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's like one of them traveling music type deals, kind of like Muddy Roots. Muddy Roots does them in like Europe. I think they went down to Mexico this past year.
It was I think it was Argentina. Yeah,
it's crazy. It started in a little town in Tennessee.
That's cool. What was I going to say about music? Oh, so I grew up like in the church, basically, like in a very Christian environment. And so early on, a lot of that, my influence, I liked punk music, but it was a lot of Christian punk bands. Okay. So MXPX, Slick Shoes, some ska bands that now I'm blanking on the names, but that in my high school years was like kind of like Christian punk and ska. And Christian hardcore is really hilarious. It's awesome.
I can see
there was a band called Living Sacrifice that I used to listen to a lot, or POD. They went a little bit mainstream after that, but they were like a fully Christian band when they started.
Oh no shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can see you looking down on me.
Yeah. I got to see them once in Columbus. That was a fun show. It was right in front of the speaker. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, POD's amazing.
Yeah. And I got to see MXPX a couple of times. They were my favorite band for years.
I like that. I listened to a lot of skater punk growing up, so
yeah,
I listened to them a lot.
Yeah. They definitely went more clean. Their first album though is like really crunchy, dirty punk, and it's kind of fun. But yeah. So like, I guess I'm I feel woefully ignorant when people talk about classical music like Zeppelin and Floyd and things like that. I'm like, I don't know. I was in a church, I don't know anything about it.
I think it was one of those bands where it's like, you're growing up and everybody's got the shirt from Hot Topic, right? They buy the Led Zeppelin shirts or this or that, or like Nirvana, and everybody listens to like the one couple song. That was kind of me, where like I'd listen to Led Zeppelin, but I never really dove into like the all their stuff, but like just respected it for what it was. Or like AC/DC. Like I'd listen to some AC/DC, but it just really wasn't my jam. But I can respect for what they did.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I haven't been into any new music for a little while. I totally fell kind of out of touch with that. Yeah. So I did check out the Hot Party playlist.
Oh yeah.
Yep. When I was driving to Keefe, that was cool. Not everything is my style, so there were some songs where I'm like, I'm just gonna let it finish.
I'm glad that you gave it the time to listen to it at least.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I feel selfish with music, dude, or podcasts. If I don't like something, just flip it to the next one. So
same way.
Sometimes you got to just check it out. Yeah. What's some other podcasts that you guys like that you listen to? Like, it's always fun to trade podcasts and learn about new ones.
I'll go first because I actually don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
Right on.
Yeah. I'm amazed, like just the close ones that, all of us are in, kind of within the community. But yeah, no, I just, I did hit it for a while. But I never really got into a bunch other than just the communities. So, yeah.
Cool. My favorite lately has been, OBDM Paranoid would tell you, Our Big Dumb Mouth. I love that show. It's great.
I'm gonna have to check that out because I did hear talking about that.
They have fun. They have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they have a huge archive.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from Ohio, so that it's relevant to a lot of our stuff that's in the news. So it's really nice. And then the whole Alex Jones clips that's of the week, those are amazing.
So they have some people on their Discord that listen to InfoWars, and they pull out every week key clips of Alex Jones, and then they smash them all together and they do clips of the week every Wednesday. It's fucking awesome.
Oh no shit.
Yep. Yeah. Also, like I said earlier, Tinfoil Hat is a good one. And then, geez, like sometimes I lose track, definitely our community ones. And I like Podcast is great. I don't know if you guys have ever dug into the archives of podcasts. He's got a lot of really good stuff. That's where I've learned a lot from because he interviews old head growers and they'll dip into their technique once in a while. So it's really good for that. Yeah. And then let's see what else. Broken Simulation. That's another Sam Tripoli podcast. It's really good that I like. Grow from Your Heart. If you haven't, Rasta Jeffs. Yeah, that one. He's great. Yeah.
He finds a good way to make that information digestible. Like I love his just his quick little 20-minute, 10-minute shows, and he just gives you a lot of information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yep.
What about you, Paranoid?
Yes. So definitely the community. I've obviously been a big fan of Craft Cannabis for a long time, so I always shout them out. And then especially y'all, you two, Grateful Nerd. I also listen to Yag. Been listening to Yag for a while now.
I'm sorry.
No, it's great, dude. Honestly, I do want to talk about that. So we were talking about doom scrolling and algorithms on the Craft Cannabis recently. And I think it was Thursday. I listened to Your Average Grow. I don't forgive me who was the latest person they had talked to. Let's see here.
Organic.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were talking about the ducks.
Yeah.
Right. And so I with my whole buying this new property, I've been thinking about doing getting animals. Farm animals and stuff. And I was thinking about chickens, but then everybody's been telling me like, don't get chickens. They're mean and all this other stuff. And so then, I listened to Your Average Grow and they were talking about ducks, and I shit you not, I got on the damn doom scrolling probably a few hours later and it was all ducks. And they were like people like homesteaders that were showing how ducks are so much better than chickens. And then it started, I was just, they were talking about rabbits, and then all of a sudden my algorithm started changing to rabbits as well. So now it's homestead and ducks and rabbit meat, and I'm like, holy shit, man, this shit's real.
It Johnny very happy that his influence has now.
Oh man, I mean, I think it's great. Now they do have a wonderful show.
They're great guys.
Yeah. I also I've been getting into like comedy lately. Badger got me onto Are You Garbage, and I've been kind of stuck on that for I guess I don't know, maybe a year and a half now or something like that.
Cool.
Because we just happened to listen to it in his garage, and I got sucked in. And then Kill Tony, been listening to that a lot of Kill Tony, and Joe Rogan Experience. Also, they don't put very many podcasts out, but it's local to me. It's called Full Contact Cannabis Podcast, and it's actually just like a local CBD grower, and he just goes on there and talks about different stuff.
Cool.
Okay.
And then Cannabis Health Radio Podcast, I do listen to that. They talk a lot about RSO and healing with RSO, and
I listen to that too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it for me. Oh, Dark History from Bailey Sarian. I love that. I love Bailey Sarian. I'm not gonna lie, I got a secret crush on her. And but Bailey Sarian's Dark History is a really, really good podcast.
Nice.
What's the base of the show?
So she does another podcast called Makeup, Murder, and Mystery. So she actually puts makeup on and like talks about like murders and stuff, mysteries. Well, the Dark History is actually more of all this other stuff that's happened in our recent lifetime. She actually goes into the whole what's that bad chemical company that's bought out everything? Rudy?
Monsanto.
Yeah, she did a Monsanto episode.
Sure.
She's done all kinds of like weird stuff, like the man. I'm sorry, I'm so high right now. So my recall is fucking horrible. Not gonna lie. But yeah, I would say definitely check out Dark History if you're into that. She does like deep dives and stuff, and it's her charm is something. I don't know. I think that's why I have a crush on her.
He's been bewitched.
Yeah.
Bailey Sarian. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So my daughter teases me about it because she knows I have a crush on her. So yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. Speaking of history, man, you guys might like on YouTube, Control Alt History.
Okay.
He's great. Is this one guy, but he does these deep dives on like historical events, suspicious plane crashes, or also like the Chicago fire, Iran Contra, Challenger explosion, JFK Jr., Gemini file, a bunch of wild stuff. So it's all like cool historical sort of like tinfoil hat stuff.
Okay.
But yeah,
Cool. Check it out.
yeah.
What about you, nerd? What do you listen to?
So podcast wise, I listen to like a lot of news shows. I don't like specifically listen to one news source. I tend to lean more towards people debating each other. So it'll be like, this political pundit has this political pundit on their podcast. So then they're debating a single topic for 2 hours. And then this guy's on this guy's podcast. So it's not like I don't regularly listen to one, but I just like, if I have two people where I think the debate between them would be interesting, I'll watch those. And then also kind of like what Rudy mentioned, like I watch a lot of video essays and like mini documentaries on YouTube. Another thing that I do is when I watch a TV show week to week, I'll listen to like every podcast. So like episode 2 comes out, I watch it, and then I listen to every podcast that talks about episode 2 of that TV show. And then episode 3 comes out and I listen to every podcast about that. So like I'll become like hyper obsessive over a single TV show. And then it'll be a lot of the content I also take in.
Right on.
Especially if it's like a mystery show or like a whodunit where everyone has their own theories and everyone's theory crafting. I love that shit. It's almost better than watching the show itself.
Nice. Did you get into Lost when that was a thing?
I actually haven't watched a lot. It's like one of the few like classic like dark shows or dark dramas that I haven't watched.
Right on. Yeah, when I was working with a bunch of people that we would watch it together when that was coming out. We would have like Lost parties, and that was that thing. Everybody's got their own theories about what's going on.
Yeah. Watch Yellow Jackets, and a lot of people compare that to Lost.
Interesting, cool.
But yeah, Yellow Jackets been like my favorite show the past few years.
Nice. Fringe is one of my top 5. You ever see Fringe?
I have not. I've heard of it. I I know what it is, but I've never watched it.
It's the best. Give that a shot when you're like, what do I watch next? Just give Fringe a shot.
Definitely.
Fucking great.
What is the basis of Fringe? Like what?
It's like, I don't want to be overly simplistic, but it's like X-Files mixed with like LSD and MK Ultra type stuff.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
and there's like
cool.
alternate dimensions, and like, so the lead character is kind of a mad scientist who happens to be like extremely brilliant. And it's around them like, it gets into dimensions and time travel. And then there are like people that show up that are sort of outside of time, and like this whole thing, it goes really deep. It's a very, very good show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have terrible attention span when it comes to shows.
Mm-hmm.
So like a nerd and I will talk about like, oh, let's watch this, or try to get on the same line, same show, and I'm just so terrible. Like I'll be watching it, and then it's boom, my attention's somewhere else, and then I fucking missed it, and I gotta fucking rewind. So hard for me to try to
make them watch movies now. You can hold it.
Yeah. Another good sci-fi is The Expanse. I think that's on Prime. That's a good one.
Yeah, I've heard that one's good. I haven't watched that one either.
But Fringe is kind of one of my all-time favorites. It's just awesome.
Shit.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Grateful to watch Skinner Darkly this weekend, and then we can talk about it.
I've never even heard of it.
Scared. So speaking of like hyper obsession with like TV shows or movies and stuff. So with Scanner Darkly, this week I read the book and watched the movie.
Okay.
So I was just grinding this story nonstop for days on end. But
where can you find it? Where can you watch it?
I don't know.
Well, damn.
Paranoid probably has it on his Plex server.
Possibly.
So if you're into Philip K. Dick, The Man in the High Castle.
Yep, that's actually on my list to read. So what I did this week was I actually opened up a voice chat with ChatGPT, And then I said, I tend to like absurdist social satire or absurdist political satire. And then I listed like all my favorite books. And then I told it to give me a top 10 reading list. And then I kept telling it to take off books that I had already read. And I like got down to this list. And Man, the High Castle was also on that list.
Nice. Cool. I like thinking about the concept that he actually, like, that Philip K. Dick himself experienced that, like that he crossed dimensions and then wrote about it.
Oh shit.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he was on meth when he wrote a lot of those.
Yeah.
Oh really? Oh shit.
Yeah, it's funny. That's a funny, weird historical thing. Like in the, 20s, 30s, 40s, like drugs were way more prevalent, I think, than we kind of picture when we think about the past. Everybody was on something. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was, they had it in there. There was a lot of things, right? Like then they said there used to be cocaine used to be in Coke, or, like the some of the remedies that you'd see from, like if we look back at some of the remedies that they used to have, like some of the stuff that they had, and like, holy shit, doctors were giving people heroin, like shit, had heroin on there.
Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of soldiers. They were basically just feeding meth to, the Germans and the Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And now American soldiers too, Provigil.
Oh,
it's basically meth. Yeah.
Is that like back to the I don't know much about it, but what was it like back in like the Vikings, right? Weren't they eating mushrooms like the
yeah.
to get all psyched up going into battle? So I mean, is it a new thing that
no.
Right?
And then Sigmund Freud did a bunch of coke. I think he was on like piles of cocaine.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. But anyway, back to
different ways.
I've also been on a big Alan Moore kick recently as well. So last week I read all of V for Vendetta and watched the movie, and I read all of Watchmen and watched the movie.
Oh, nice.
Which I've read and seen both of those before.
Wait.
Scanner Darkly, I had seen the movie once, but I had never read the book.
This is going to be a little bit awkward and hard to pull off, but I got to show you something. Let's see.
That's
yeah.
It.
Leg tattoo. There you go.
Well,
it's
Cool.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Oh yeah.
Comics much better than the movie, by the way.
Right on.
Because the movie takes out a lot of the talk of like anarchism, and it just makes it, because of when it came out, it's basically just like post 9/11 George Bush kind of vibe. Which I noticed they made a lot of, like, I wouldn't say edgy, but like more like anti-establishment comic book movies around that time, like post 9/11.
Yep.
So you saw a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah,
but they all like reframed it all to be like about George Bush, essentially. So I believe V for Vendetta was supposed to be a critique of Margaret Thatcher, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. Okay. Speaking of your hyper obsessive things, I got that tattoo while watching the movie on November 5th.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah. Oh no, that's why. My hash ball, I realized that these cellophanes do have a life on them because it's ripped open. I just looked over at my hash ball and my little temple ball, and yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Dude, it's time. I got to make a new ball. Got to make a new temple ball. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It's a nice way to kind of store your stash off to the side, right? And you don't have to worry quite as much. I've got the one that I'm working on, and the rest I've got in my little dab fridge. So, yeah,
cool. Hell yeah.
Well, cool, man. Listen, I appreciate everybody listening, everybody hanging out. big thank you to Rudy for joining us today on the crew. You got anything that you want to close out the episode with? Any shout outs or anything?
Well, just shout out the Discord and everybody there, and my buddies Blackwater and Early Bird, and just like our Discord is mainly where we've kind of put our focus on like trying to, and admittedly, like I don't post a ton there, but it's been really active and really nice and a good place for people to come, and it's a chill environment. We don't seem to have a lot of drama. Everybody's on the same page. So yeah. Yep. So, and I need to cross pollinate like Discords a little bit more. So I got to come in. I'm in your guys. I just need to come in there and pop around a little bit more. Yeah.
It's tough. There's so many Discords, so many different things going on.
And so many channels. Yeah.
You gotta check out that Focus Tobacco Grow Along. There's a channel in our Grateful Nerd Discord.
Awesome.
Well, I appreciate you. Paranoid, you got anything you want to close out with?
Just a shout out to the Keefe crew. We just met up recently, so yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Shout out. Nerd.
What?
Never mind. Going on. I am going to give a shout out to Big Cat Trinketry, because I just got this, as my wife would call it, my hippie necklace, and she did a great job, and I'm going to shout her out today. So that's
awesome.
what I got. I appreciate you guys. It's been a lot of fun. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Peace.
Peace.
Yep.
Yeah.